the green flag is being waved, and we are racing, and the front of the field is very tight indeed. Scott Maxwell leaves his braking incredibly late. Hugh Plum on the outside had Andrew Davis for company, and I think Davis has gone through into second position. It was very tight indeed. Austin Cindric holding on there in fourth position. Matt Bell, Ashley Freiberg, Max Riddle all going through.
I think Matt Bell got through to third place as well, so a great start there for the two big Chevy Camaros using that 7 litre of horsepower.
And there goes the second group, the ST cars. They take the green flag and will go down into turn one. Everyone pretty much holding station, however, as they go through turn one, as opposed to what we saw with the GS cars. It's a little tight, but everybody made it through.
They're not all going to get through there, are they?
Yeah,
yes, they are.
Sure did.
Great start there by Justin Piscatel in that pole-sitting car for Murillo Racing. He holds that inside line now into the West Horseshoe, and in ST it is the Porsche Cayman, that orange and black car. Justin Piscatel who leads. The BMWs, they're battling away over second place, and meanwhile onto the banking and coming off turn 2 onto the back straightaway, it's Scott Maxwell that leads overall from the two Chevy Camaros, and then the Porsche of Matt Plum. Or Hugh Plum, probably, isn't it, starting? Hugh Plum.
It is Hugh Plum, yeah. And Adrian White
from... wrong, sorry.
Yeah, very good. Adrian White from IHG doing a cracking job.
There goes the Porsche.
Porsche goes back chosen around the outside into the bus stop to take back third position. So that Mustang sure does have the horses down the back straightaway.
Back onto the oval again and into stock cars turn 3 and 4. The battle is between Porsche, that's European engineering and proper American muscle, with the Camaro sitting right in the wheel tracks. And Andrew Davis giving it a go there, trying to get close. Oh, and look at how they're coming together. You do get the drafting effect as you come round underneath us, and it's for a moment, there's 3 wide going down off through the transition into turn number 1, and the Porsche just about holds on to second position with the two Camaros sitting line astern and looking very hungry indeed.
Almost 500 pounds difference in weight between that Porsche and the Chevrolet Camaro. The Camaro's 3,500 pounds worth. That's a lot of American muscle in there. And the Porsche weighs in at 3,075 pounds. So that's how much difference there is. But
that's a stock car. That's a full house Sprint Cup car, weighs in at about 3,500 pounds. So that's exactly what you're talking about there, on a very demanding street course. And I've just been driven round it, road course, excuse me, and you forget how technical the infield is here, and there's some very fast approaches indeed down to the western hairpin where they are at the moment, the horseshoe, and then that transition back out where the leaders are now, through the short chute and up onto effectively turn 1 of the oval before you start coming round. And you can really feel the car sitting down as you're building speed there, and the centripetal force pushing you into the tarmac and forcing the car down towards the apron. It's an amazing feeling to be sitting in a street car doing that, and these guys have got so much more power as they're heading now into the braking area. The leader, Scott Maxwell, down through the gearbox, take the curb on the inside, let the car settle, take the curb on the right again, and then hammer the curb coming out on the left. It's absolutely flat through there, and it's a lovely line from the 15 of Scott Maxwell, who leads it by an increasing margin, and he was under 2 minutes last time around. Yeah, the 2008 champion in this series, Scott Maxwell. He had a birthday a couple of days ago as well, and celebrated that very nicely by qualifying on the pole position. And here is in the, as you say, the early stages, put out now a pretty handsome lead there over that battling Porsche, I should say, and Camaro, and the two Camaros. And then right behind them is the Aston Martin of Max Riddle in car number 07. And there's Austin Cindric down to the inside. That battle for 6th place, 6th and 7th is very, very close, along with Ashley Freiberg, and also tucked up in that battle the best of the Nissans, that is Brad Jaeger in car number 14.
Cindric feeling very racy here in the early going as we have 2 laps complete. He's trying to climb yet another position and take it away from Ashley Freiberg as they head through the kink and into the west hairpin.
This is brilliant stuff, isn't it? In the ST category, let's not forget that as well. It's Piscatelli, then John Miller, then Ethan Lowe. Very tight indeed. The racing all the way around the circuit, down into the first corner. These two Caymans. The Cayman makes a great racing car. And being used to the absolute max here. This is the lead in the ST category. I remember Napleton Racing coming a few years ago with the Cayman, and they were sort of not spurned by Porsche, but they certainly weren't encouraged. That attitude has changed from Porsche.
The first year you and I went to the Nürburgring, the Hankook car, and that
Matt
was
Bassing.
just Matt Bassing was just an absolute star in that car, and as you say, kind of a cold shoulder from the folks in Stuttgart, but not anymore. That attitude has changed, and these cars are becoming quite prevalent here in the United States, and especially in this class, as these two are just linked with the bungee cord as they go around this racetrack nose to tail.
Yeah, another Porsche came in there in third place. That's Ethan Lowe at the wheel of that car. And then Jason Breedis in the best of the BMWs, fourth in class in ST, just now going up onto the banking out of turn 6.
Yeah, I do expect at some stage Porsche will recognise the potential of their mid-engine cars and provide national class races with a Porsche product.
It's amazing to me how closely matched the Porsche and the Camaros are there. That battle for second and third place. Scott Maxwell extending his lead out just a little bit more on that lap, but not by very much on that lap. But his lead over second place car is a second and a half, maybe 2 seconds. But the Porsche and the Chevy, they're pretty similar in straight line speed, and they both seem to get on the brakes around about the same time, despite the weight discrepancy.
Problem for the Gulf-coloured number 8. This is Anthony Mantella at the wheel of another very lovely prepared, very well prepared car, and now has he hit something?
It's not how it left the factory.
Has it just snapped up? That I can't read lips, so I'm not sure what the car's saying to me.
Looks like a horse, Mr. Ed, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Given the car,
the
a
clips
sticky
have
toffee.
come loose on the front of the bonnet, and it's flapping like lips, frankly.
It does look like someone has given the car a sticky
Mr.
toffee.
Ed, there you go.
That is going to be a massive disadvantage for Anthony Mantella when he gets up here onto the banking, and indeed he's under pressure from the 62 of Oscar Kruger right in behind him. You'll see if you're watching the stream the Chevy dropping down, the 62 car dropping down, taking the low line, heading towards that.
He's got the same problem.
And he's got exactly the same problem, Jeremy. You're absolutely right. These really quick, as soon as he came out of the slipstream of the other Camaro, it started to lift. That front bonnet now quite clear. Well, front bonnet, what would it be, a back bonnet? The hood, it's beginning to lift. It's actually dragged the whole of the grill area up as well. That
Better
is something
hope the rest of the clips hold, or you're going to have a bonnet come up over the windscreen.
That is
now, I think that's just the grill that's moving, Jim.
Yes, it is. Yep.
I think it's just the grill that's having the most of the movement, but it is beginning to deform the bonnet on the front of the teal blue and Etruscan orange car. This is the Anthony Mantella car. It's just dropped a position, by the way, from 17th to 18th. As Oscar Kruger went by him. No, excuse me, it is still in 17th. Oscar Kruger went up to 16th. Jeremy?
Oscar Kruger, the young Swede who won the Sunoco Whelen Challenge. And this is his prize, to get an opportunity to come over here and race in the BMW Performance 200 here at Daytona International Speedway. Great experience for that young man. 19 years of age.
IMSA Radio live from Daytona International Speedway. Friday is race day for the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. Let's head down into... let's nip down into the pit lane and Greg Kramer. Greg, who you got?
Well, I've been following all the action you guys have been talking about, but watching what's unfolding in this ST category, that great battle at the very sharp end of things between the two Porsche Caymans, but lurking is the Team TGM entry. I'm with Dave Murray, who, of course, will be getting into the car. But Ted Giovannis, it's been amazing watching his progression. He qualified 11th. I think one of his best qualifying efforts ever. Boy, did you guys need that for this race.
You know, I'm so proud of Ted. He did such a great job. The whole team worked really hard. Over the winter, we did some development. We did testing a few weeks ago in Atlanta, and we really worked on the handling of the car, got that better, and I think it's paying off here between that and Ted's driving. You know, the Caymans are going to be quick here. They're going to be quick everywhere, but the aerodynamics of that car are really strong. Our gearing seems to be pretty good here, so it gives us an opportunity to have a chance to run for the front.
Well, it's interesting because once the race starts, qualifying is one thing. How does it play out in the race? He's staying right there. I mean, he is strongly in the mix. You guys forewent the roar testing and went to Road Atlanta, obviously closer to home. And as you said, it paid off, obviously.
Well, it paid off, and that's what said. Not only did we go faster compared to our setup last year, but we also went in the direction it's going to save our tires. So I think we're going to be even stronger, which was a strong point we had last year. We came on after half the stint, and I think this year it's going to be even more apparent.
Well, and it's going to be interesting, guys, to watch how that unfolds. Obviously, David Murray, one of the absolute best in the paddock, and if they're in that top 10 when they turn it over, this is going to be fun to watch.
And straight to Joe Bradley with a comment about the Camaro front end. Joe?
Well, I'm in the Mantella Autosport pit, and no prizes, but you can guess what they've got in abundance in readiness down here for that car, if it does indeed come into the pits. Right now, the crew are monitoring its lap times and seeing what disadvantage that bonnet is making, and if it's making too much of a disadvantage and it's losing out too much, it's going to pay off to bring it into the pits early. And like I said, no prizes for guessing what we've got to rectify the situation.
Large amounts of gaffer tape. Just an outside chance of that. Joe Bradley and Greg Kramer working the pits for us here for the BMW 200 at the Daytona International Speedway. Jeremy Shaw and Jim Roller are in the booth with us. Jeremy?
Leaders going down the back straightaway now. That's one of the slower cars going into the bus stop chicane. Scott Maxwell there turns right, left, and then right again. Now left and up onto the banking. Leads there in car number 15. That gap between the leading car and the second place car has kind of stabilised the last few laps. But what's interesting is behind him they all seem to be closing up a bit. We've got the two Chevy Camaros, number 6, number 9, and number 2, the two Stevenson Motorsports entries, Andrew Davis and Matt Bell, Max Riddle in the 07 Aston Martin, Austin Cindric in the 158 Multimatic Mustang, Ashley Freiberg in number 46 Ford Line BMW, and Brad Yeager in the number 14 Doran Racing Nissan. They're all pretty much nose to tail, and Timmy Rivers there, the youngster who is hanging on there very, very nicely in 9th place in car number 57 for the Racers Edge group.
And Andrew Davis is definitely making his presence felt in the rearview mirror of Hugh Plum, as he is as close to you as he can get without hitting them, as they went down into turn 1, and now through the International Horseshoe he closes in. And also behind them, Max Riddle is giving Matt Bell everything he can stand in the Aston Martin. So we've got about 0.4 of a second separating the 2nd through 5th.
I think I've got to be honest that as we look back at the Mantella Racing Camaro, still having that battle with the Oscar Kruger car, the 62 car, and they're still both gaping at the front end. That cannot go on. That really cannot go on. It's beginning now to peel the bonnet, peel the hood back just a little bit. I can't help thinking that at the sharp end of the field, they're stablemates in the Camaros, the Stevenson guys. Andrew Davis will be delighted to be holding on to the back of Hugh Plum and Maxwell. Meantime, battle for the ST lead. Piscatel and John Miller side by side, and it looks like the 18 is going round. John Miller has got position now. Can he get down on the inside? There is, in rowing terms, clear blue water between them. He takes the line, drops down into turn 1, and that is a change of lead. And John Miller leads in ST after just 13.5 minutes of a 2.5-hour race. Nice move. Classic piece of speedway drafting.
Absolutely right, and we've got a battle for the lead in GS almost as well, because Scott Maxwell's lead is not extending anymore. It's actually shrinking a little bit, although he does pull out a little bit of an edge there that time through the bus stop chicane. But what's interesting to me, the 2nd through 7th or 8th place cars, they're strung out a little bit as they come past start finish, but by the time they get to turn 6, the car at the end of that train, the number 14 Nissan, closes right up. It's so fast through the corners.
As they went by us, the Aston Martin and the Camaro were side by side. Matt Bell and Max Riddle, in fact, at start-finish, Max Riddle was actually in the lead, but that big Camaro muscled his way, almost threw a hip check on the Aston Martin as they were going down into turn 1. He's had to give up the position, but that was close to side-by-side contact.
That was great, wasn't it? And now they're beginning to work their way through some of the ST contenders, the slower class cars. They're going to be looking in their mirrors now, because they've got the fast cars, the leaders, the overall race winners in the GS category are closing in.
It has allowed Hugh Plum, that traffic has allowed Hugh Plum to separate himself a little bit from Andrew Davis, and it's allowed him to get within 0.6 of a second of our race leader. So you are absolutely right, Jeremy. You called that the Scott Maxwell's lead is starting to shrink a little bit.
Well, before we get more action on the track, let's head down to pit lane and get some more comment. Here's Greg Kramer.
Absolutely. You just talked about that great pass for the lead that John Miller put on. I'm with his co-driver, Adam Isman. And Adam, you obviously had some success in the Cayman last year with the team you ran with at that point. A win, some poles. I mean, obviously these cars are quick, but Miller's giving it one heck of a ride with this relatively new program. Exciting.
Yeah, the first thing I want to do is thank all these guys that are standing in this pit box right now. They worked their absolute butts off getting the car ready for this race. And, you know, it's a brand new team, but we're all gelling really well. The car just got ready last week, so we want to keep our expectations realistic for today, and so far so good.
How did this program gel? I mean, it was suddenly we heard about this new team coming online, and you guys have been quick right out of the box.
Yeah, it seems like it, but they've actually the core guys have been together for almost a year. They built the first car last summer, and they've done quite a bit of testing, so they know the platform really well, and they work really hard, and that just shows in how we're doing this weekend.
I've had the pleasure to announce John in another series for a few years, and he picked up the moniker there, Mr. Excitement. Now you're seeing why.
Yeah, I know he's putting on a good show for everyone right now. He knows his job is to be smart and lead a few laps and bring the car back, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
It's going to be fun to watch this young team, guys.
And the leader now, thanks Greg, heading through traffic, and that's danger time for Scott Maxwell, who has Hugh Plum absolutely at his wheel tracks, but he dives left and right, carving his way through, well, actually not just the back markers, the midfield of the ST class now, Jeremy. This is really experienced, sensible driving from Scott Maxwell. He's doing just what he needs to do. Doesn't have to get too excited. Being patient.
Yeah, and a huge amount of experience. Scott Maxwell loves this racetrack here at Daytona. He's had poles here. He's had a couple of poles, I think, for the Rolex 24 in the past. Absolutely loves this place. Always goes well here. But as you say, using his head, using the grunt of that 5-litre Ford Mustang engine to get off the corners and hold that little Porsche at bay.
Torque is your friend.
Yes, indeed.
Behind him, Max Riddle has finally made it stick on Matt Bell and has put the Aston Martin into 4th position. So we've got Mustang, Porsche, Camaro, and Aston Martin now as the top 4.
That sounds good to say that, Mr. Roller. It really does. IMSA Radio live from Daytona International Speedway. 17.5 minutes gone, just under 2.25 hours still to go. Yes, that's right, 2.25 hours. It started as 2.5. Looking forward from Scott Maxwell to a little bit of clear track as he comes round, and here comes Hugh Plum. He's got the draft. I'm not sure he's going to be close enough to have a dive down the inside. No, he is, and looks to driver's left, gets to the rear quarter panel, gets side by side, noses the Porsche ahead, and he's got the lead, but now he's blocked it. Ironically, it's by a Kim, and he moves up half a lane at car's length, and he can't get it done as Maxwell just allowed himself to basically used the cars ahead as a bit of a pick and got through, held on to it, and that is exactly what Jeremy was saying, Jim. That is the experience of Scott Maxwell. Didn't fight it early because he knew Hugh had nowhere to go.
And also, it was interesting because both cars actually used the lap traffic to their advantage. What do I mean by that? Well, Hugh Plum was close enough. He was able to get a little bit of a draft off that Cayman, and that gave him enough to get by Scott Maxwell. But then Scott Maxwell used that helper as a pick. Brilliant. And used him to take back that top spot as they were going through turn 1.
Can't we race here every week?
Yes, that was so much fun. I mean, 2 of the most experienced drivers in the field there were Scott Maxwell and Hugh Plum. And they've both been around driving these cars for a long, long time. It's a great battle for the lead.
And the lead had just been comprehensively chopped there by the next level European Porsche Cayman. Not sure whether it's Dan Rogers or Seth Thomas who started that car, but once again,
Dan.
It was Dan, thank you. Once again, Scott Maxwell having to use all that experience in that dark blue Mustang. It looks actually a real throwback, that car, because there's not a lot of decals on it. It's a very dark blue colour, and if that was a 43rd slot car and a Mustang from years gone by, you could absolutely see it racing in that colours. Into the bus stop again for the leader.
Yeah, a couple of cars to watch here. First of all, the fastest lap of the race so far, I think, has actually been set by Ashley Freiberg in car number 46. She's running in 7th place in that 4-line BMW. The other guy that's really on the move is Tim Bell in car number 28. Tim Bell is the youngest team owner in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. And his car, that car number 28 Nissan, they didn't qualify qualify yesterday because they had a horrendous fire on Wednesday. They've taken 2 days to completely rebuild that car. It ran well this morning in the practice. He's already got himself up from the back of the grid up into the top 10.
Battle for the lead, gentlemen, and this time Hugh Plum gets around the Mustang in the Porsche and drops in to turn number 1, makes it stick. And it's the 13 now that leads. Hugh Plum from Scott Maxwell, Andrew Davis still in 3rd position ahead of Max Riddle 4th, Matt Bell 5th. Austin Cindric holding on to 6th, but only just as Ashley Freiberg puts on the pressure in 7th. Then it's Jaeger in the Nissan, Timmy Rivers and Tim Bell for the top 10. That's in GS, of course. In ST, it's still Piscatell who leads from John Miller. Those two have been going at it back and forth as well. Then Ethan Lowe, Jason Bradis and Luis Rodriguez Jr., the top 5 there.
And in the top 4 of that ST class, there is only 0.6 of a second separating the top 4, so great action there. John, I find it interesting. I think the Porsche is a little bit better in the draft than the Camaros or the Mustang because it's got a little bit better shape. The Camaro, frankly, is a brick compared to the Porsche.
Yeah.
The Mustang's a little bit better aerodynamics, but the Porsche does really well in the draft.
Yeah, the Porsche's a pretty slippery little car, isn't it? I mean, it's a much smaller car in terms of frontal area, I think, and you know that it shows.
Here's the battle at the lead of ST. In fact, it's the first 3 coming back out onto the speedway, just off to our left in the distance. The bright orange, we can easily pick that one out. And so it's Piscatell leading, and we've got a caution on the racetrack. The double yellows are out. Piscatell, Miller and Ethan Lowe absolutely together. Well, they'll all form up now, as with 21 minutes to go, 21 minutes gone, we've got a Mustang stationary on the
really
infield.
Falgueras, I think. Yeah, the 00 Ford Mustang from Puerto Rico. And then another.
That's the 00 motorsport car.
It is.
Obviously. Dick Dastardly, if you'd prefer. Wacky races there.
Rolly Falgueras, the team owner there, and Brian Ortiz. And yeah, that's a shame for those guys. They qualified in kind of the middle of the pack in 14th place. Rolly, the team owner, qualified that car. But it's ground to a halt there on the exit of NASCAR Turn 4. Yeah,
and that is a place that is very, very quick. No opportunity to pull that in under a local yellow. So it is a full course caution. Our first with 22 minutes of the 2 hours and 30 minutes gone. And you're listening to IMSA Radio live from Daytona International Speedway. What it does do is gives us an opportunity to take a little bit of a breath and take a step back from leaning forward, almost with our noses on the glass of the booth here, that it's been such exciting racing in the last 22 minutes. The variety that we're seeing here, and if you're not used to seeing the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge events, the variety that we are seeing here is exactly why we love sports and GT racing, and the different attributes, characteristics, strengths and weaknesses of these cars, Jim, is being played out right in front of us.
Each car has its strengths. If the team and the driver can play to those strengths, it makes for great racing, and that's what we're seeing here. The slippery Porsche using the draft to overcome the horsepower advantage of the Mustangs and the Camaros. In the ST category, you've got a whole bunch of slippery cars, and they are just nose to tail in some wonderful drafting exhibitions. This is fantastic stuff, and it is all because of that variety.
It's Andrew Davis, I think, that we're on board with. Yeah, you can see the Stars and Stripes helmet now, which I couldn't see before on the onboard shot. If you are listening to us on IMSARadio.com around the world and you haven't already checked it out, RadioLeMans.com and IMSA.com has got live streaming video of that. As we have a quick look at the onboard of the 26 Mazda. Whilst we're under full course caution, let's pick up some more reaction from the pit lane. Greg Kramer.
Well, standing by with Billy Johnson, co-driver for Scott Maxwell, who got out to that nice lead early and then watched that rum-bum car come in. Was that more a function of traffic, or was that just the weight and the power of the car that you guys have and using up the tires a little bit?
It's a little bit of both. Scott did an awesome job in the opening laps, and he did get bogged down a little bit in some ST traffic there, but the greatest part about the series is every car has different strengths and weaknesses. We tend to get off of the low-speed corners pretty well, but the BMWs and Porsches have a lot of top speed, so anything that hurts us getting out of the bus stop really puts the Porsches and BMWs in an advantage, as you saw at the top end, challenging us into turn one.
Absolutely. So is this caution for you guys kind of a good thing to cool things off just a little bit and get the ST traffic maybe split back again?
It could work either way. The ST traffic worked in our favor there for a few laps and then worked against us that one lap, and that was just enough to give the edge to the Porsche. So it's a double-edged sword. I don't think it really makes too big of a difference one way or another, but yeah, it's great racing.
Got to ask you real quick, how long can you guys go on a tank? How long do you expect to be out before you guys come in and make your first stop?
Well, I'm not sure. I haven't been part of those discussions, but we have a big 5-liter V8, and if you just look at the rule book, we have the second biggest engine and one of the smallest gas tanks in the GS paddock, so that's not very favorable, but we'll see how it turns out.
All right, well, this team executes in the pits as well as it does on track, so we're looking forward to a good one. Thanks, Billy.
Thank you.
Let's head from the car that was leading now in second to the third place pit. That's the number 6 Stevenson Camaro. Andrew Davis doing a cracking job. Robin Liddell will take over from him later in the race, and he's with Joe Bradley.
I'm not sure about later because I've just quite a sight. Robin Liddell doing squats and stretches. Rob, what sort of tactic does this caution bring into play in this 2.5-hour race?
Well, it's if the whole race ran green, it would be a 3-stop race because it's the fuel mileage is not great. On this track, you're at wide open throttle for a long time, obviously. So actually, you know, having a caution's good, but we just want to stretch out the fuel as long as possible and shorten those stints up, those final stops. But you know, right now, just looking at it, the GS cars coming into the pits now for some of them for the fuel. I think for us, you know, the way the race played out over the first few laps was not altogether surprising. We knew the Porsche had the top speed, and when they get in the draft, we punch a big hole in the air. They just motored on by. Also the Mustang, I mean, the Mustang's strong in the mid-range, so we haven't really got the top speed of those two cars, but I think on the infield we're better. Andrew's doing a great job, and I'm sure that our guys in the pits will do an excellent job. So, you know, long way to go, but we're in a good spot. We just don't have that top speed that you really need at this track.
From a layman's point of view, i.e. mine, surely if you don't pit under yellow and then you have to pit under green, you're going to lose out more track time.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I think anybody who stops now is going to struggle to do it on 2 more stops. So, I mean, it's a hard one to call. I don't know what everybody's fuel mileage is, but I think right now it makes sense for us just to stay out there and stretch this out, get some fuel savings, and then stretch that out until the next yellow if possible.
All right, mate, I'll leave you to those stretching exercises before you get in the car. Thanks, Robin.
Thanks, Dave. Nice to see that you were stretching alongside him doing that interview, Joe. I think that was that's above and beyond, mate. Well done. Excellent stuff. Joe Bradley down there in the pit lane doing squat thrusts while interviewing Robin Liddell. It would be nice to see Robin doing a bit more longer distance races as well. He had some pretty decent drives last year for Team Corvette. Whilst that was happening, we did have a pit caller, a number of pit callers, not least of which that gaffer tape, I think, Jeremy, was applied to the Camaro with the gaping hood.
Glad to hear that. I think that needed. That's a very good idea, I'd say, by that team. Also, two interesting pit stoppers there were number 46, 4-line BMW. Ashley Freiberg came in. They put fuel and fresh tyres onto that car. And I think the same for the 07 Aston Martin 2 of Max Riddle. I don't think either of them changed drivers. I don't think they changed. I didn't see them change drivers on the number 46 car, but it's difficult to see from this far away.
It's Jeremy Shaw and Jim Roller alongside John Hindhoff. Hello there, if you are just joining us. It's IMSA Radio and we're live from Daytona International Speedway, just about over the start-finish line as we are on our first full course caution of the Continental Tires Sports Car Challenge. It is the BMW Performance 200 here on Friday with the Rolex 24 Daytona to come tomorrow. Full 24 hours of coverage from our extensive team, and already issues for one of the Hondas in the pit lane. I think it's the 25 car. Is it? No. Can't see the number. It is one of the little Honda Civic SIs, and getting some yeah, I was about to say getting a good look from the IMSA official, and just as I said that, he gets back up and says, guys, you're going to have to do this from inside the pit lane. From outside the pit lane rather, and take it behind the wall. It's a 74 car, my apologies. I was trying to be clever and look at the back, and of course the numbers that are there are for the main race on the fuel rig. So the 74 car being the Compass 360 racing car, Jim Maguire and Nico Ronde. Joe Bradley is down at that end of the pit lane. Joe, any idea what is the ailments of that car?
Well, I've almost got my head under the bonnet, John, with the guys who have just wheeled the car behind the wall. It's obviously somewhere in the...
Huge pool of oil, mate. We just saw it.
All right, there it is then. It's just dipstick comes out, pretty much standard stuff from Road Car Sense. It's got the... they're just checking. It doesn't look like there's any oil on that dipstick. So I think they've lost a lot of it, which isn't a good sign.
Some of it's in the pit lane.
Right, yes. They're just checking to see where the oil's come from, probably to see if they can rectify it, sort it out and get it back out. But you can hear in the background there's a lot of activity around this car. So we're going to see if we can fix it. I'll just put my overalls on. Ah, yes, and I can see it now. They've jacked the car up in front of me and pretty much oil dripping from pretty everywhere in that engine compartment. So that oil's been spraying out and covering everything in there.
Probably not a quick fix then, Mr. Bradley. More oil there than on a fishwives tabard, as Nick Damon might have said.
Was that the 74 car? Yeah, okay,
correct.
Fine. That's Jim Maguire then making another guy making his professional debut. And he was supposed to be sharing that car number 74 with Nicholas Ronde, who's a former champion in the Barber Dodge Pro Series going back a few years, and now a long-time instructor at Sim Raceway out in California. That's where Jim Maguire has come through. This is his first professional race, but Jim Maguire is sort of better known to us that, you know, that the aero paints that are sponsored Michael Shank Racing and various other teams. They were in the IndyCars with Luxo Dragon a few years ago as well. Well, Dad is Jim Maguire. He is a chemical engineer, and that's his company. Is Aero that is, and he's making his debut this weekend.
Rather too much of the chemical dropping out at the bottom of the car. Nico is a great guy actually, and I've spent a lot of time with him at Mazda it was at Sonoma, wasn't it? The Sim Raceway Driving Centre, although that has just moved to a Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, I was reading the other day, and Nico's a great guy. We've had a lot of fun in Audi TTs around that circuit.
Yeah, and talking about it, they are going to be racing an Audi from the next round at Sebring. New RS3 is going to make its debut here.
That's a very nice piece. It is still, of course, with the full course caution out, Hugh Plum, who just took the lead before that yellow flag came out.
They are coming to the green.
There will be no further wave by, I've just heard from Greg, so we're going to have lost about 10 minutes. It was just on 22 minutes, it's on 32 minutes now, and it looks like the green is in the starter's hand on the flag stand right underneath us. And there's a bit of chat going on as if to say, well, if they're all looking okay, we might give them it this time. The BMW lead car has the lights out, does it? Yes, it does. And so it's down to Hugh Plum to defend from Scott Maxwell. Andrew Davis, what sort of a restart will he get? Matt Bell, Austin Cindric, Brad Yeager in the Nissan, then Tim Bell, Cameron Lawrence, Nick McMillan and Martin Barkley now in the top 10. In the number 80, he's popped up there.
And Ricardo Flores, the Peruvian, who's also making his debut in the Tudor Championship this weekend as well.
So coming back to green flag racing here at Daytona International Speedway. Thanks for joining us as we bring you Friday afternoon coverage of a 2.5-hour classic piece of sports car racing with the Continental Tyre Sports Car Challenge. It's the BMW Performance 200, and it's about to get back underway as the green flag is in hand. It's in the air, it's waving, and the LED lights above the start stand go green as well. And Hugh Plum gets on the power nice and early. Can he hold off the rest of the field down into turn one? They drop through the transition. Yes, he can. Maxwell dropping in. He's lost a couple of places. Couple of cars lengths rather to the leader there as they went onto the infield.
Max Riddle in that 07 Aston Martin made a sensational restart there. He must have passed half a dozen cars. He was one of the guys that made a pit stop during that caution period. Boy, he just flew past everybody around the outside going into turn one. Brilliant move by Max Riddle. I think he's up into, what is he, ninth place. That's incredible.
Hugh Plum then still leading it, but under pressure from the dark blue Mustang. What a great looking car that is of Scott Maxwell in second place. This could be any time in the last, 50 years, well, 40 years certainly. You've got Porsche against Mustang, and then the two Camaros of Andrew Davis and Matt Bell, the two Stevenson cars. A little bit of a Nissan rivalry there, as it looks as though Matt Bell is forcing Andrew Davis to take a slightly defensive line. The number 9, Matt Bell, with the blue Eagle decals on the back of the car, the red on the third place car of Andrew Davis, and they've dropped back a bit. Now they need to be smart here. They could tow each other back to the leaders. There need to be nothing bar a phone book's width between the rear bumper of one of those Stevenson cars and the front of the other, and they are doing that now. But then Matt Bell pulls out, gives himself a little bit of a look, and that is forcing Davis onto the inside line. But they are quick around the banking. Top 5 absolutely together, with Austin Cindric in there in the 158, and we haven't even had a full lap of green flag since we went back after that 10-minute full course caution.
Yeah, and Max Riddle there made up another place going into the bus stop as well in an Aston Martin. He just blew past one of the Nissans. Tremendous drive by Max Riddle. And you're talking about that strategy, as we heard from Robin Liddell, it's a bit risky to make your stop early on. Well, Max Riddle has made that strategy work so far.
Scott Maxwell trying the outside now as they come underneath us. He'll try to go around the outside of the Porsche going into turn 1 and makes it stick. What a pass by Scott Maxwell.
And there wasn't quite as much clear blue water as there had been when the Porsche pulled that one off before. Scott Maxwell made it his, got position, and then was absolutely uncompromising as he dropped that Mustang down onto the apron and the apex. Here's the battle going past us now in the ST field with Piscatell and John Miller very close together, and it looked like John Miller had gone through there to me, Jeremy.
Well, no, Justin Piscatell took that lead back again, because you remember it's John Miller who took over the lead. Yeah, before the caution. So Piscatell has got it back again. You can see now the orange and black Porsche Cayman turning into the West Horseshoe there, and has the lead in ST.
Top 4 absolutely together as they head out towards the banking for the 7th time of asking. And then there's another little group of cars, you know, just behind them. Cindric, Brad Yeager, Max Riddle, Tim Bell. Yeah. That's the next 4. There's the 28 of Tim Bell in that very brightly coloured Nissan 370.
That's the car that had that big fire on Wednesday. He's moved himself up very, very nicely indeed. The team owner there, Tim Bell Racing. But Max Riddle's ahead of them both now, taking, of course, advantage. We're pretty sure he put on fresh tyres on that 07 car. So he's taking now full advantage of that fresh Continental rubber.
And Cindric's going to be his next victim as he goes
side by side.
In the bus stop, are you kidding me? He's got it done. Wow, he didn't look like he was in control of that at any stage towards the apex, and yet he clearly was.
He waved to the apex on his way back.
Yeah, he did.
And a heads-up driver there by young Austin Cindric, 16 years of age. And he had the presence of mind there not to do anything silly. He knew the other guy was on fresh tyres, let him go, live to fight on later in the race.
Visual confirmation of the lead in ST, back with Justin Piscatell in the number 56 Porsche. And meantime, the battle for the lead is now 3 cars wide, and it looks as though Plum has got it. Can he hold on to it this time? He can. Plum goes through, and Maxwell and Davis again are back to 2nd and 3rd, and there's Matt Bell. It's still the top 4, Jim, absolutely together.
And our 4th lead change as well. That's outstanding for sports car racing. This is great stuff.
Yeah. Always get good racing here at Daytona because of the long runs and the short braking areas at the end of it. It doesn't take rocket scientists to design circuits where if you've got fast speeds into short braking areas that you are going to have the opportunity to make a pass.
And Austin Cindric, by the way, got back that place from the Aston Martin. So it's the number 158, the youngest driver in the field, a 16-year-old Austin Cindric, back up into 5th place now in the 2nd of the Multimatic Mustangs, running in 2nd and 5th.
Let's check in with Greg, who's got some Rum Bum Racing news.
Yeah, I just checked in with Nick Longy, who stepped out from a driving role and into sort of a on-the-box strategist role. And he said what's happening here is that Porsche is an incredible car in the draft. So it didn't surprise them to see Maxwell go around him in the Mustang, and it didn't surprise them to see them able to take that big run, get back by him. They said they'll be in good shape. That's why they're working so well in traffic, as he said, you'd think the bigger torque, maybe that Mustang would help, but they're drafting so well, it's allowing them to make very decisive moves. I also asked him about how long can you go on fuel, and he said, we're working on that.
And that is the variable. That is the big variable. Jeremy?
A penalty there for car number 3. That's one of the 2 CJ Wilson Racing Mazda MX-5s. Presumably an infraction at the restart. It looked like it was a fairly lengthy stop and hold penalty there. That was car number 3, which was started by Tyler McQuarrie.
Tyler McQuarrie
the drifter.
He is a fabulous guy. Did an interview with him for an Inside Drifting feature on RadioLeMans.com, and he is just great. Now that is Liam Dwyer, I think, who is the Mazda driver. If you're watching this screen at the moment, you will see a Alpine Stars race boot on the throttle and something that clearly isn't on the clutch, and that's because Liam is a US Marine who was injured doing his duty. Had the very great pleasure of doing a Mazda feature with him at Sebring last year. He is sports cars through and through, as well as being United States through and through, as you might imagine, and the prosthetic on his left leg has been designed with assistance from the IMSA safety team and the scrutineers to allow him to get in and out the car should there be an emergency, but it also allows him to keep his left prosthetic leg on the clutch pedal. And by the way, he drives this car as quick as anybody else can drive it. He doesn't expect to get any special treatment. He goes out there and drives, and he has stood on a podium in this car, I think at Lime Rock, was it not?
Yeah, top of the podium. Yeah, with Tom Long last year. That's right. It was a great effort by Liam to get the car into position, and then Tom brought it home the majority of the way. But it was and that was in the Freedom Autosport entry on July 4th.
Yeah,
can you believe it?
You could not have written that script. You really couldn't. Greg, a little more from the pit lane, please. Hello, Greg.
I was fortunate to be able to call that race last year, and talk about a heart in the throat moment when it became obvious that they were in with a shout on that one. Brought it home, as you said, on that incredible weekend. Staff Sergeant Liam Dwyer, Semper Fi sponsored, Freedom Autos. I mean, all the stars aligned. And one of the coolest things I've ever seen, guys, in Victory Circle, after the awards were presented, when they gave him the champagne, Dwyer just laid down on that top step of the podium. The entire podium just dumped champagne on him. It was, I mean, tears were in everybody's eyes.
And he's a great guy. I spent a couple of hours with him at Sebring last year, just shooting the breeze. I nearly said something else there, but we had a great time. And we've got another full course caution out with 42 minutes gone. This is another issue for a Porsche, and that, Jim, is?
It's the number 24 car, the Body Motion Racing. David Bum behind the wheel. He's teamed with Corey Friedman in that car, and he's come to a stop down there in, looked like it was just before turn 5.
Yeah, and it looks like suspension damage on the back of that car. One of the wheels was towed not as it came out of Stuttgart, and the pits are closed.
Yeah, I think this is probably within 15 minutes of the last restart, is it? In which case it'll be a
correct,
a short yellow. They will not be the pits will not be opened.
Hello to everybody who is tuned in around the world, either to IMSA Radio or to our sound and vision service, including Josh Barrett, one of a number of people who've seen. First time I've seen the CTSC series. It's great stuff. Glad you're enjoying it, and you will be able to enjoy it throughout the season here on IMSA Radio. We're looking forward to it. And I think it was the Autometrics car, by the way, that had the problems, not the Body Motion car, the 24 machine. Joe Bradley down in the pit lane. What do you have for us?
The oil on the 74 Honda was coming from a broken oil cooler, split oil cooler. They are fixing it, and they are going to rejoin.
Okay. Well, that's great. But they are looking for points for the season, of course. We have two different names on two different entry sheets here in front of us. And now Jeremy has just scribbled out Autometrics, much to the chagrin of one J. Roller, late of this parish.
I got that from the original
Green
entry,
this time. I'm hearing from Greg, who is monitoring the officials' net. It is the left rear suspension. There's been contact there, and there's a bent wheel and a rear wheel that is towed in rather unfortunately. We've also got the track sweepers out as well, which is a great thing to see. If you're going to have a yellow, you might as well do some remedial work on the circuit as well. Remind you that Hugh Plum in the Porsche is leading the Rumbum Racing 13 car, is ahead of the Mustang of Scott Maxwell and Andrew Davies in the first of two. Stevenson machines, 6 and 9, which are 3rd and 4th position. Those 2 Camaros looking, I think, stronger than the team expected. Certainly talking to Robin Liddell yesterday, he was thinking they would have to be just trying to hold on to the front of the field.
I think now we can expect some pit stops when the pits are open, because by the time the pits are open, we're going to be 45 minutes into the race. So anybody who's getting out of the car now will have spent enough time at the wheel of the car in order to score championship points. So oh, the pit. No, okay, right. It was a short yellow, wasn't it?
So
they didn't get an opportunity, therefore, because it was a short yellow. They didn't get an opportunity to open the pits, and therefore they're going to.
But your statement
racing.
is correct.
Yes.
The next time, we do get a caution, there will be pit stop.
And if anybody wants to take a bit of a gamble now, it might not be a bad idea, because they can make their pit stop. If there is another full course caution fairly soon, even if it's within 50 minutes, it will be a standard caution, because you don't have 2 short yellows at one back to back. So now actually would be a pretty good time to make a pit stop, because then when the pits are closed, everybody else will come in thereafter and you will cycle through ahead of them all.
Heck of a battle right the way through the field. First 4, 5 cars, and down the inside into 4th position. This is in the ST category. That looked very much to me like Jeff Siegel making a move on Jason Bridis, and did he make it stick?
Yes,
I think
he
he
did.
did.
Oh, yeah,
yes,
he sure
he did. And there is the confirmation that the BMW is behind. So now we have 4 Porsche Caymans in the top 4 positions, and Jim, as a Boxster owner, he's got a Spider. He's very happy to see the little mid-engine Porsche doing so well at the front of the field.
Same engine and rear clip I have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the only interlopers in that phalanx of Porsches are Jason Bridis there now in 5th place, and Paul Holton in number 75 Compass 360 Racing Honda in the... There he was on screen in the 7th position. He will hand over that car to Kyle Gimple, and Kyle Gimple with that car won the final 2 races of last year with Ryan Eversley.
Our 6 leaders have come out of the bus stop and are now into Speedway turns 3 and 4, and they are, as they have been, just about, oh geez, there's probably no more than a second that separates the top 7, and this is just absolutely fantastic. They tend to accordion in and out, and it's so interesting because on one lap they'll be very tight, and on another they'll be a little bit spread out. And now, in fact, we've got one of the Camaros trying to go around the outside of Maxwell in the Mustang. That's the number 6 Camaro with the red. Andrew Davis in the Camaro with the red trim, the Red Eagle on the rear quarter panel, as he tried to go around the outside and couldn't make it stick, John.
Give it a go though, didn't
Yeah.
he? That was fairly aggressive driving, and it makes you think that they've been given the go, whatever the fuel numbers are looking like now. You heard Robin Liddell talking to Joe Bradley earlier on about that. Whatever the fuel numbers are, the guys at Stevenson might think they can make it work with just another 2 stops after their first one. It should be a relatively simple 3-stop race, but we are starting to get into the strategy here to see where people can go and how far they can stretch. Another full caution now would be very, very interesting. Battle for the lead is on, Jeremy, and Hugh Plum is doing a great job to hold off Scott Maxwell. This is magnificent stuff. They're back up onto the high banks through stock car turn 1 and now into 2, and he's just pulling away. Even in clear air, gentlemen, I think that Porsche has got an aerodynamic advantage.
Yeah, it's a great battle going on there. I'm also interested now on pit lane, because they've got the number 80 car, the 80 car, the Mantella Autosport entry. Martin Barkey, who did a fine first stint there, his first race in the first race in this Camaro, handed over that car now to Kyle Marcelli. We know how good Kyle Marcelli is because we've been watching him in the American Le Mans Series for the last half a dozen years or so. He's a really talented young guy, and he has taken over the wheel of that car. Several other pit stops also in the ST class, including Mike Lamara in car number 23 for Burke Racing, handing over to Terry Borchella. Those 2 won this championship 2 years ago.
In the ST category, Piscatelli, Miller, Lowe, Siegel still battling it out. And Jeff Siegel's just dropped off the back of this. These are the leading 3 in ST, 18, 31, 42. 56 leading it. That bright orange looks well in the bright orange with the black nose. And Looks to me as though Ethan Lowe is the man on the move at the moment. He's got the draft, and is he pushing through the second place car? He is. John Miller gets the help from behind, and on the NASCAR time turn 4, coming underneath us down through the tri-oval. Oh, just gets a little bit of a squirrely moment there, probably coming into the braking area just a little bit quicker. That was very interesting indeed, and if you ever want to know how aero works and why 2 cars are faster than 1, replay that bit of tape, because we have a new leader in the ST category. Marvellous stuff.
From first to third for Justin Piscatell, and he won't be happy about that. That looked like Dale Jr. and Michael Waltrip going by him.
Didn't
there,
it just? Yeah, he was he did nothing wrong.
No.
Justin Piscatell
made a perfect line. Just aerodynamics won the battle.
John Miller then, the new leader in that 18 Porsche Cayman. Beautifully turned out from the RSI team. They've got, what, 3 cars already in this race, should I say, including the Spencer Pumpelly driven car with Luis Rodriguez Jr. John will be handing over to Adam Isman, the Canadian from Vancouver, when that decision is made.
And he won a couple of races last year, did Adam Isman, along with Remo Russiti. There's this battle now coming off NASCAR turn 4 and heading towards the start-finish line, going past one of the slower BMWs. I think that might be yeah, it is kind of a 23. That's Terry Borchula for Burton Racing. Again, the Terry Borchula won a championship in the ST class a couple of years ago. He's on a different strategy to the rest of the ST field, or the majority of the ST field.
Yeah, we should mention as well that oh dear me, the traffic is just amazing, isn't it? This is a really good proving ground and training ground for future stars of multi-class racing, wherever they end up. Let's get back to the STs, the street tuner category, where John Miller has got some, once again, has got some close company. The 31 is Ethan Lowe in behind him in second place. Then in third, it is the long-time leader, Justin Piscatell. Jeff Siegel's just dropped a little bit off the back of this in the 56 Porsche, in the 42 Porsche, excuse me. Just see him in the background there. Behind Jeff, it's the 84 of Jason Breedis. And here is the battle for the lead. I do like that colour scheme, the striped colour scheme as well. These little Caymans look good in a variety of colour schemes.
They do. That's number 17, 18 and 19. The Rennsport 1 team, new to the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge this year. And as you say, 3 very good looking cars. Just similar colours, slightly different liveries, but you can see the team identity that they have on those 3 Porsche Caymans.
It's good.
And you can throw a blanket over these 5 cars.
Well, we're wondering when the ST guys might come into the pit lane. Greg has been patrolling the pits, trying to get somebody to tell him some secrets. What have you found out, Greg?
Well, I mean, I found out this one just by observation. The Next Level European, that satellite team for Bimmer World running the beautiful Porsche Caymans, both of those cars have now stopped. The 38 came in a lap ago and put the gun, Seth Thomas behind the wheel. The number 83 is in, Zimmerman is out, and put Greg Liafouge behind the wheel. Greg was one of the absolute front runners in this race here last year with a strong finish. So that team now has played their hand in terms of putting the really fast drivers on board.
That's sacrilege.
Whoa, early.
Bimmer World running a Porsche.
Well, yes, okay. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. Jim Roller, Jeremy Shaw, and John Heindorf were live.
That's why they're entered differely.
Yes, exactly. That's why it's a satellite team.
Next level European.
Yes.
I mean, they look after all sorts of different cars, mainly European cars. So.
We're live from Daytona. It is the battle at the head of the ST field that we're featuring here on IMSA Radio, side by side, and Piscatell in the bright orange Porsche Cayman, the 56 car, trying to go the long way around and gets back into second position. How did he do that? What a slingshot maneuver that was. Now he's got to get the car stopped. It's John Miller ahead of him who is leading that category. Jeff Siegel just getting in the picture again, tantalizingly close in 4th position, but for the moment is unable to get in there. And then Jason Breedis in the BMW, the 84 car, in 5th position. You would think this battling was slowing them all up. I'm not sure. Well, maybe it is. We're just starting to get the top 5 coming back together.
That was unbelievable. That was sheer power, Jeremy, because he didn't have any help when he made that pass. When he got passed by the other two guys, it was obvious that it was the draft. He drafted low and just made it stick hard going down into turn number 1. That was absolutely fantastic stuff.
Not far behind this train of Porsches plus the BMW, the first of the Honda Civics, and it's now Chad Gilsinger in car number 93, one of the two Honda of American Racing Team entries, with two cars, number 92 and number 93. They're all manned, engineered and driven by employers of Honda. Aha, here we come.
And this is the second place car of Scott Maxwell onto pit lane. Gets down to the speed limit, stays in the fast lane, the very outside right-hand side, closest to the grass. He's already getting ready. Now, who's followed him in there?
Young Cindric, his teammate.
That's the teammate. Now, that's smart because that means that they get to get back up to speed on the high banks and they're coming in to their pits in team order. Meantime, out on the banks, the race continues. There's the pit stop going on.
18.5 gallon fuel cells on these Ford Mustangs. Those cars, they weigh about 3,290 pounds, 3,290 pounds. And again, we talked about the variations in configurations of these cars.
Already the driver change done in the 15 car then, and getting ready to go. Billy Johnson from just down the road, what, 4.5 hours, I suppose, 5 hours down in Miami. The Multimatic car about to go.
From now, is it? Yeah, he was a Southern California boy originally, Billy Johnson. Then spent a lot of time, he worked for Roush, who was up in North Carolina for a long, long time. Really good guy, Billy Johnson, a very, very talented driver.
Well, there was a bit of a nibble for the lead by Justin Piscatel in the bright orange number 56, and that's cost him a bit of time. And now Ethan Lowe is on his back bumper, and Jeff Siegel sniffing around there again now in the 42, the Sealands car. But at the moment, that's good news for John Miller. These little ST cars tend to go just a wee bit further than the GS's, and Justin Piscatel, who clearly has speed in that car, heading out towards the banking again through the short chute.
I think he likes the oval better.
He loves the oval, you can see. And you know, it's about economy of movement on an oval. And people who think that oval racing is drive fast, turn left, think again. Because it is about balancing the car and trying to put as little steering into it as possible. Every time you turn the wheel, you're scrubbing off speed. And on these high banks, that is your enemy. You've got understeer, if you've got push here, that's the worst thing that you can have. You just want to be just balancing the car. It's fingertip stuff around here.
Very cool, isn't it? The leader's now just coming out of the West Horseshoe. Rum Bum Racing, Hugh Plum in the lead. He's got a lead now of probably 3 seconds over Andrew Davis and number 6 Stevenson Autosport Camaro. And right behind Davis is Max Riddle in that 07 Aston Martin.
And that's the biggest lead of the race so far for Hugh Plum.
Yes, it is.
I think we can, sorry, I shouldn't say that. I know because Greg has just told me that he is down in the Multimatic pit and is able to have a chat with the man who brought the car in second place, that being Scott Maxwell.
Indeed, Scott, what a run. Paul, you and Hugh Plum having a phenomenal battle out there. And, of course, those two Stevenson cars just had to join the fray. Great racing in the early going. How'd it go, first of all?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. The car's good. I'm just trying to leave a fresh car for Billy. I think we got a good car. We're lacking a little in straight line speed, but in the infield we're strong. But the draft's everything here, and it's a lot of fun, but it can work against you in traffic. But overall, it was a good run. Car's great, and hopefully both cars can get on the podium.
Unfortunately, I found myself a little out of position during the pit stop. How did it go? It looked clean from where I could see it.
I think it went well. From where I was sitting, it was fine. I'll go talk to the guys, but I don't think we lost any time at the pits.
Teamed up this year with Billy Johnson. Boy, that's strength to strength, obviously. How's that pairing going?
So far, fantastic. I think Ford and Multimatic finally thought it was better to, rather than have us fighting each other, put us in the same boat and work together. And so far, it's working out really well. We like the car very similar, and I think we're going to have a good year.
Absolutely. How about the rest of this race?
Well, it's probably Billy working his way back up to the front and just keeping clean. But like I say, you can be the quickest car out there, but you get up on the oval and we're a bit slow on it, and he's got to break the draft, and it's going to be hard. If he can break the draft, I think we're looking good, but right now that's going to be a hard job for Billy.
Yeah, especially with the way we've seen that Rum Bum Porsche making work in the draft, and it looks like the Stevenson boys are in.
And Joe Bradley is down with the Stevenson crews. Both of those Camaros have come in together, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's not that they've tripped each other up at all. Both of these crews absolutely choreographed to the final inch of each of these stops. Driver changes going about as the fueling takes place. The jacks go off. We're putting tyres, wheels and tyres on both cars. Also, fresh unscrewed rubber going onto both of these cars. The driver's already in there. Lots of carbon dust being thrown around as that wheel went onto the pit wall. But the wheel nuts, remember, not just one solitary attachment on each of these wheels. Each of these wheels have got 5 studs with nuts. So absolutely efficiency at its best down here at Stevenson.
That sounded like you were calling a NASCAR stop, mate. That was exactly what I want to hear when I'm at Daytona. Joe Bradley and Greg Kramer down there in the pits. And so Robin Liddell and Lawson Aschenbach are now in the 6 and 9 car respectively. Hugh Plum has still not stopped at the head of the field. The ST class, the battle for the lead is now up to 13th position because of course they haven't stopped, and it's still 18:56.31. Miller, Piscatel and Ethan Lowe, and still Jeff Siegel is just about a second or so behind. He catches up if they trip over the traffic, but he can't get quicker. They're close enough to get in, and the leader comes into the pit lane. We'll keep an eye on that as we go down to Joe Bradley, and let's see if we can have a word with the Stevenson guys.
A very sweaty Andrew Davis. Andrew, you've handed the baton over to your teammate Robin Liddell, but that was quite an exciting battle from where we were. It must have been awesome for you.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, it's tough at this track. You know, our Camaro Z28 is awesome, and the Stevenson Motorsports guys have done a superb job. But still, we just don't have the straight line speed on the Mustang or the Porsche or the Aston for that. But I could pull up on them on the draft, and it made it exciting into turn 1 every time. But then I couldn't get by, and then I could hound them in the infield, but once they put the power down out of 6 onto the banking, it was enough said there. So, but it was still a lot of fun. It's always great driving with Scott and Hugh. There's lots of great driving going on out there. And Matt was a great teammate to have behind me as well. We just tried to team up and work together. You know, it's still a lot to go here, so we got to just keep pushing. But really proud of the guys, and the car was really good.
And the car's clearly still in good shape considering where you are at the front.
Well, that's it. You know, you got to stay clean, and when you're up front, it's a lot easier to do that. And it's such a professionally run series, especially up front. We'll just we'll keep our nose clean until the end here, and then hopefully we'll be able to bring ourselves some a good finish.
Great job, Andrew.
Thank you.
That looked pretty clean, gentlemen. Jeremy and Jim were watching that Rum Bum Racing pit stop for Hugh Plum, who's now out of the car. Everything go all right? Yeah, good. We're all happy with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Good stop there by the Rum Bum Racing team, and that car's come out with still a pretty good, well, you can see now that Matt Plum is just turning now into the West Horseshoe, and maybe, 3 seconds or so behind him is the number 5 car. That will be Billy Johnson in second place. In third is the Andrew Davis car that handed over to Robin Liddell. So the Chevrolet Camaro there in third place. The first 3 now pretty much equidistant, probably about 100 yards between each of them, and a similar gap back to the second of the Multimatic Mustangs.
Let's get down into the pit lane whilst we wait for the pit stops to cycle through and get a proper sense of what's going on. The man who brought the Rum Bum Porsche in the lead was Hugh Plum, and he's with Greg Kramer now.
He is, and I'll tell you what, Hugh, not only a great drive, but how many times have we seen this crew execute a stop? Boy, did you do it again, cleanly out in front of everybody else. Remarkable.
Oh, my God. You know, I can't say enough about these guys. It seems everything they do just, you know, A+. So I've got to live up to doing the same. Continental Tire was really great. You know, from beginning to end, I wanted to be patient at the very beginning and know that I had something, you know, under me and into like 20 minutes. And that I did. So,
well, I'll tell you, when you are driving this car, a drafting battle is exactly what you want to get into because it drafts so well. It looked like that was really making the big difference out there.
Yeah, that really was the big difference. The draft, you know, I got a lot of lucky breaks in traffic that I was able to, you know, hang Scotty behind me out to dry a little bit, hopefully. But really can't thank Yeah, Louis Picardi, enough. Matt and Rumbum guys, Nick Longi, awesome.
Absolutely fantastic. Guys, at Lime Rock this year, this crew did a stop that won it for this team. They may just have done it again. That was brilliant.
Thanks, Greg. Jim Roller just saying to me that, and very, very salient point. I'll put your mic up this time, and you can say it to the rest of the audience as well. But we've got a new leader, of course, now, haven't we, Jim?
Max Riddle, who pitted earlier. He pitted under the first caution. It's going to be very interesting to see how his strategy plays out as he is off sequence.
He is, because he's made a short stop, and the other guys have all made a long stop, if you get my drift, because he came into the pits after, what was it, 20 minutes or so into the race, so he only needed 20 minutes worth of fuel. Everybody else has made a pit stop and needed a full tank of fuel. So that is why the number 07 car and the 46 in second place with Ashley Freiberg has just been passed, actually. Oh, she's coming to the pit lane now.
And we've got also an issue for the number 19. This is another one of the Rennsport 1 cars. It's a right rear puncture on that car, and it is turned around for a half a lap or so, but kept on the apron, so no need for a full course caution. Must have been close to a stop anyway, so has lost some time, but it's not disastrous for that ST car. The leaders, by the way, the ST category now just on the edge of the top 10, 11th on down for the top 5, and it's still Miller, Piscatel, Ethan Lowe, Jeff Siegel, and the BMW of Jason Bradis is the only non-Porsche in that quintet.
So at the head of the pit lane is the championship winning car from last year for Four Line Motorsport. Ashley Freiberg has brought that number 46 car onto pit lane. She will hand over to last year's champion, Trent Hinman, the youngster. Incredible to think how much success he's had already at the wheel of that car. He's still only 19 years of age, and he's from Wayside, New Jersey, and Trent Hinman is now back out of the pits and on his way.
What an age range we have here, all the way from Austin Cindric, who's 16, up to Jim Click, who's 70.
Yeah, it's fabulous. I love it.
Hello to everybody around the world who's tuning in live to IMSA Radio. Great to have so many of you enjoying our coverage on a Friday afternoon, Friday evening, of course, if you are in Europe, coming up to, what, 7:45 in the UK, 8:45 in Central Europe, and clearly a lot of you are starting off your Rolex 24 Daytona weekend early with a very interesting Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge race. It's the BMW Performance 200 live from Daytona. John Hindhaugh, Jim Roller and Jeremy Shaw in the booth. It's Greg Kramer and now Shea Adam down there in the pit lane. Good afternoon, Shea. The ST pit stop starting now. Goodly portion of this race still to go. It's still a bit of tension down there, I would have thought.
Oh, for sure there is tension, and it is right. But I'm just at the Burton Racing pit right now, where a smoking Continental tire has been removed from the back portion of that automobile. No driver change, just gave him 4 new boots and sent him back out on his way. But that will certainly throw a wrench in their plans. The tensions are high.
Yeah. That is the car that won the championship 2 years ago, Terry Borcholo. We've already talked about him a little while ago. He was in that car was in the pit lane. Mike Lamara handed over to Terry Borcholo. So we saw a puncture on one of the Caymans as well. So are we putting two and two together and finding out maybe some contact between those two different teams had punctures, and that's a big blow for Terry Borcholo.
We're seeing some smoke coming out of the back of the number 9 Camaro, who is now, that car's being driven by Lawson Aschenbach. He's chasing Jade Buford in the 158. Buford took over from Cindric, and now as they come down the front straightaway, it looks like Aschenbach is going to try and make the move around the outside. He's not going to get it done as they go down into turn 1, as Buford does a great job. Now side by side, Buford holds his position and is able to keep the position, but now on the switchback, nope, as they go through the little chicane, he's able to hold that position. But we did see a replay of a little bit of smoke coming out of the back of the 9. It was on the bank end. I don't know if he's got a tire rub or if it was something coming out of the left bank of the exhaust, but there was a little bit of smoke that came out of the back of that car.
So Lawson Aschenbach then with close company now. The number 9 sitting in behind Jade Buford, the blue and white Mustang with Aschenbach right in behind him. Karl Marcelli in 10th position is just a wee bit further back in the 80. And now, is this a problem for the 65? Look at the transition as he pops up there.
There's a problem.
That looks like the 65 BMW in the ST class does have some kind of an issue. This is the Murillo Racing 328i. Justin Piscatell is listed in that car as well with Tim Probert and Brent Morsing.
Yeah, Justin serves as the driver coach on that car, generally speaking. That's why he's listed as a kind of reserve driver. But
does that mean he can also take the car out in practice and do a bit of setup work?
If required. He doesn't. He's concentrating on the Porsche this weekend, but if required, yes. But interesting overall now, we've got this battle going on coming into the bus stop between the Ford and the Chevy. Isn't that always cool to see? The number 158 and the number 9, Jade Buford and Awesome Lawson Aschenbach. That battle now for 8th and 9th place. It's still Max Riddle that leads in the 07 Aston Martin, wherever he is on the racetrack. Second place is Mike McGovern, who's taken over in car number 2. That was the car started by Jim Click, the oldest driver in the race. And it's this battle absolutely side by side or nose to tail now as they come
Camaro
through
doesn't have the ponies, Jeremy.
No,
pulled out, got the draft.
Look at the width of the car. So it's pushing a much bigger hole through the air.
It seems as though he got the draft. He was in perfect position there. And Jade Buford couldn't do anything, just had to sit on the yellow line. That's the right thing to do. Stay down on the yellow line, make your opponent go the longer way around. As soon as it came out the draft, there was an issue. Now, another Camaro with problems down in the pit lane. No, this looks like it's a relatively sensible stop. But
that was that car we saw earlier that was battling with the Golf-colored car. This car is the Sunoco colored car that is very reminiscent of Mark Donahue's old Penske Camaro.
Is it ever?
Yeah.
Is it ever?
And that's the Whelan Sunoco scholarship car. Oscar Kruger started that machine. But what I was going to say, back to leader. So Max Riddle now is running in. Actually, Mike McGovern is in the lead of the race. He's just overtaken the 07 Aston Martin. Where are they on the racetrack?
Yes, must have. They've just gone across the line. They must be coming.
Mike McGovern, hugely experienced. He's been around the sport a long time instructor at the Bob Bondurant School in Phoenix, Arizona, and he's taken over the lead of the race from the 07. No, they're not. Where are they on the racetrack?
Still a Murkoff, by the way, got into the Mitcham Motorsports Camaro, having taken over from Oscar Kruger. That was the car that was in the pit. So the Jim Click Racing Ford Mustang 302R leads it out. This is the number 2 car, and he's just got about half a second on Max Riddle in the Aston Martin 07 in third. Michael Lira now in the 5.7, the 57 car in third position. That's the Racers Edge Motorsport Mustang that he took over from Tommy Rivers, who is from, in fact, both of those guys near residence, Port Orange and Ormond Beach.
And that combination, the youngest driver pairing in the field, Timmy Rivers is just 21 and Michael Lira is only 17.
And here again,
so the combined age of those two is half with the age of several other drivers.
Here again, the Camaro gets position, goes to the outside, hits the big block of there, drops back, not just a bit, but maybe a couple of cars lengths. Well, let's see where Mike McGovern is as he's coming through. Remember, the 7 car, the Aston, stopped very, very early on a previous caution, as we're still watching this battle for 8th and 9th position. Robin Liddell is ahead of them. Then it's Billy Johnson, Trent Hinman in 5th position, Matt Plum in 4th. Then Lira, Riddle and McGovern coming towards us now across the start-finish line. Nice pick up from the guys as the leader comes across the line underneath us. It was 0.3 of a second. It's going to be a wee bit more than that. It's 0.7 this time around. And Mike McGovern then leads it out in traffic as into the pit lane comes one of the ST leading cars.
Ah, yes.
And Greg is down there.
Yeah, that beautiful number 56 in and getting out obviously very quickly. Justin Piscatell already. Eric Foss climbing behind the wheel. This is going to be a very busy pit lane. We've got the Strategic Wealth team ready to make a stop. We also have a couple of the RS1 machines are looking to make their stop. Here comes the number 17 in. That's the car that was started by Luis Rodriguez. Spencer Pompelli is going to be climbing behind the wheel. And coming in and splitting the whole thing is the TGM team. That is going to be Giovanni's getting out. David Murray getting on board. So we basically got 4 cars absolutely queued up down here. You can hear those guns going, as Joe was talking about. 5 lugs, so they're doing those high-speed on-offs with those lug nuts, trying to track them all, the lugs flying around on the ground. It ends up being kind of a tricky little place here when they accelerate out. And of course, you got limited with the number of people you can have over the wall, so it's a bit of a ballet. Already, Foss out in that Murillo Racing team. No wonder they execute so well, win that championship. They're now doing the left side tires on the Team TGM entry for David Murray, and the 17 almost done with the lefts. Stickers on board all of these cars. We're waiting for the 18, should be in a moment.
See, it would have been sacrilege to talk over the end of that report as we got that squeal of tyres. The 07 is in second place. Max Riddle now behind the wheel of the Aston Martin. They threw the dice early in the second full course caution that we had. You've run around about 16 minutes of full course caution. First one was 10, the second one was a bit of a shorter one. And he's trying to chase down Mike McGovern in the number 2 Mustang 302, who goes through underneath us there now.
Yeah, and inching away now from Max Riddle in second place is Mike McGovern, the vastly experienced Arizona driver, just gone through turn 1, and then a huge gap back from Max Riddle to the third place car, Michael Lira, the youngster, 17 years of age, from Port Orange, just down the road from here. Stock car racer primarily, racing the ARCA series, but he's doing a great job here in the sports cars as well.
The problem at the moment for Max Riddle is he's got battling Porsche Caymans all around him. Behind him, the 09 Aston is not in that fight. He's off the lead lap, but he might get a little help from that car. It's Ken Wilton at the wheel of that car now. Isn't Ken another sim race?
Ken Wilton's been around sport a long time, Canadian.
Did he do Porsches?
Driven everything over the years.
Yeah, I think I've seen him drive a Porsche.
There goes Michael Lira in third place past the start-finish line, and then a little bit back now past the start-finish line. Now there goes Matt Plum, followed by Trent Hinman, and right on Trent Hinman's tail is Billy Johnson, and Johnson goes around the outside of him into turn 1. A great move there from the Mustang. Car number 15 gets around the outside of last year's champion Trent Hinman, going into turn 1 in that BMW.
It can be done, and it's been done several times. Let's head down to Shea Adam in the pit. Shea?
Paul Holton, you've just gotten out of the beautiful Honda sponsored by CTF Children's Tumor Foundation. Is that your first time ever doing a pit stop? I know you're very new to racing.
Yeah, it effectively is. It's honestly a lot more nerve-wracking than anything. Anything I do driving the car, it's when they say time to pit in, it's okay, did I do everything right? Do I have all my belts loose, all this stuff? And it's honestly one of the scariest things in the world to not come in and not be ready for the pit stop, because you're out of that car in an instant as soon as you stop.
Well, this is your first time to Daytona racing in this series. What has the race been like for you so far?
Well, we're running with Chad Gilsing. We're the 2 fastest Hondas, and we're really just struggling to keep up with the Caymans on the straightaway. We're faster than them on the infield by a good bit, and they just motor by us on the straights, and we can't keep up with them. Even trying to draft with them, they've got probably 10 miles an hour on us on the straightaway.
Are you going to run the full season?
I am. I'm doing the full season of Conti with Cubs 360. And we'll have the new Audi S3s out at Sebring, which we're really looking forward to, because that should be a stout car.
Well, great job in your first stint.
Thank you.
And further up pit lane, Greg Kramer has another one of the leading Caymans from ST alongside him.
Indeed, the RS1 machine, the number 18. So a great opening run, of course, by John Miller. Now Adam Isman getting on board again. Already almost have those right side tires done. A little bit of a hang up on the right rear. Now they've got that one done. It's down. The wheelman comes running around. Jack underneath the left side. Already the lugs coming off both the front and the rear. They're a little bit behind on the rear at this point because of that hang up on the right rear. And again, it's crucial as to when they get out. Also, the number 5 CJ Wilson Mazda just completed a stop as well. Revving the engine here on the 18, anticipating, it's down, it is away. Great stop, and watching where it came out in that pack, looks like they did okay on that stop. And I'll tell you, necessity being the mother of invention, the Team TJM team, they put a magnet with 2 inline skate wheels, a magnet that was about a foot long. They just literally do a brushing of the pit stall, picks up all of those lugs.
Very nice stuff, very nice stuff. There's a real skill to doing a 5-stud, 5 lug nut wheel. I tried it in the ASCAR days at Rockingham back in the UK, and it's something that you have to practice and practice to get the muscle memory. We've got just over an hour and 10 minutes to go. We're going to have a wee change up here in the booth. Jim Roller will be stepping out in a few moments' time, but this has been a cracking race so far, Jim, hasn't it?
It's been fantastic. My mother always told me to share as much as I'd like to just stay for the whole thing. Johnny Palmer's going to come in and take you to the finish, John. Thank you very much, Jim Roller, who'll be a part of our team for the rest of the season. Let's head back down to the pit lane while we make our pit change and crew change up here. Greg Kramer could get down to that RS1 team and speak to John Miller, who had such a great opening run in that Cayman.
Wow, was that a fun battle watching you guys out there back and forth, John. In another series, I kind of gave you the moniker Mr. Excitement. Boy, did you live up to that today. Great stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, listen, all thanks to the team, to Justin and Brian and all the guys at the RS1 shop. Literally 30 days ago, this race car was a street car. These guys busted their butts all through the holidays to make it a brand new race car that turned the fastest lap of the session. It's first time ever on track. Perfection, flawless all weekend. It's all credit to the team.
And obviously, this track, this car just seemed to work incredibly well together. I mean, there was a bunch of you guys in Caymans up there. What a great battle.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we jokingly are calling it the Cayman Cup in ST this year, but, you know, the formula works. The cars are solid, reliable, and they perform really well out of the box. These guys at RS1 really know how to put a good car together, and they draft well together, and Daytona is a good track for the slippery cars. Yeah, Justin Piscatell and I had a lot of fun dicing it up out there, drafting. It was almost like NASCAR, like Talladega Nights, you know, switching back and forth like a restrictor plate race or something. It was a lot of fun.
Okay, Ricky. Well done, obviously. By the way, both of the sailing cars, the 42 just completed a stop, the 43 in now.
And also, Greg, thank you. And also, Mike McGovern has brought what was the leading car, the number 2 Mustang, down pit lane. That puts Max Riddle in the Aston Martin back in the lead. Remember, off kilter as far as the pit stops are concerned, and that could still play out for him, Jeremy.
Well, yeah, I mean, the first 2 or 3 there, Max the 07 car, the number 2 and the number 46, all 3 of them came in during that very first caution period. Therefore, their first pit stop was shorter than everybody else who came in much later on. That's why those 3 cars were at the head of the field for much of the middle portion of the race. But now the number 2 car is back in for full service. We've also already seen Trent Hinman onto pit lane. He will have to make one more stop before the end of the race, however.
Johnny Palmer has joined us. This is bonkers stuff, isn't it?
It's awesome.
You do like a bit of close racing with your short oval background, and this is living up to it, isn't it? And Andy Lally is in problems, is he?
Yeah, coming out of the second horseshoe, I noticed he's got some problem with the car, which means it's ailing.
Yeah, he was in the pits a little while ago. I think it was an unscheduled stop. And
it's the 08 Porsche we're talking about, the red machine, and
Rebel Rock Racing
staying out on the circuit at the moment. You want to get down off slowly. You want to get down off the top of the banking, and does do. Meantime, into the pit lane, the 3-1 of Ethan Lowe brought it in from the ST lead.
Yes, he'd taken over the lead with those other. He was running, you know, pretty much with them in any case. In top 5 or 6, I think we've seen now all of the ST leaders onto pit lane. So we'll have to wait and see now. Kevin Bowman, number 92 Honda of American Racing Team Civic. He was one of the later cars to pit, I believe, as well.
Max Riddle with a 55.5 second lead. Let's remember that we're on lap number 38 at the moment, and the lead that Max Riddle in the Aston has over the Porsche number 13 of Matt Plum is 55.5 seconds. Another 4 seconds further back, Michael Lira in the 57. Who's having a cracking battle with Trent Hinman, actually, and Billy Johnson's not that far back from them either. There's 3 cars within not very much time at all there, and it will be now watching the lap times as Matt Plum gets up and puts in a 59.1 as Max Riddle comes into the pit lane. I just wondered how much longer he could go. There is the former leader. Max Riddle then comes to his pit stall, and the 07 Aston Martin will get service from the TRG Aston Martin Racing crew. Now, Chris Wilson, presumably, who hasn't been in the car, Jeremy, will jump in and take it to the end, but must need another stop, surely?
What are we? Just over an hour to go. Yeah, it's going to be certainly very close.
Tight.
An hour and 6 minutes is certainly pushing it. I think they'll probably be hoping for a full course caution to help their cause there. Might be a tall order otherwise. The car, when it made its last pit stop, the 07 car, when?
Once you look through that, I can tell you that Matt Plum has retaken the lead. The Rumbum Racing Porsche comes by pit road. Of course, the 07 Aston still being surfaced, and 08 missing at least one or two wheel nuts, it looks like. So whether it's had side-to-side contact with another vehicle which has shredded some of those nuts, I'm not sure, but the 08 of Andy Lally has to go behind the wall and back in towards the paddock.
Yeah, that looked pretty terminal on that car. That's a shame, for that's one of the Rebel Rock cars, the GS. Porsche 911 then therefore goes behind the wall. That's the car that Andy Lally is sharing with Cameron Lawrence, the two-time Trans Am TA2 champion, young man from Windermere, Florida. He's a busy boy this weekend, also doing the Rolex Series as well, as of course is Andy.
That's double duty of the very harshest nature. Daytona International Speedway, Friday afternoon action from the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. It's the BMW Performance 200 live on IMSA Radio, at IMSA Radio on Twitter. Keep the messages coming in. Let's head back to the pits, and Greg Kramer, who has Andy Lally.
Well, actually, I don't have Andy, but I just have an update. He is in trouble out there, you noticed, and apparently what happened is some wheel studs, some of those studs that those lugs lock onto, apparently they broke, they're guesstimating 2 to 3 studs, so he's got a serious problem on that wheel, and he's just trying to limp it around, and the problem is if they can't get that fixed, obviously, that's going to take them behind the wall. So their day for a competitive finish is done. It's a shame. This was a team that, with Lally and the young Cam Lawrence, they really figured this was going to be a serious player this year.
I thought, because we'd seen him struggling such a long time ago, Greg, I thought he'd actually made it back to the pit and gone behind the wall. That's just told you how much time he has lost. In the ST category, Eric Foss has now cycled through to the lead in the 56 car, and Eric having taken that one over from Justin Piscatel. So the Murillo Racing, the bright orange Cayman, is back in the lead, down in 18th position as everyone else has made their pit stops and dragged back through. We're Nonamaker now behind the wheel of the 42, and the Team Silent car is the one that's made the ground up there. Jeff Siegel did a great last couple of laps whilst everyone else was pitting, and now has leapfrogged up into second place. Remember, he was that 4th position that was so tantalisingly close to the guys ahead of him. Mark Miller now behind the wheel of the number 3 in 3rd position for CJ Wilson Racing, and that is one of the MX-5s who's up there in 3rd position. Meanwhile, at the head of the field, it's Matt Plum and the Rumbum car. That Porsche very quick on the banking, Johnny, and Matt Plum back in the lead as we had that pit stop for the Aston Martin. Trent Hindman just 6 seconds or so behind.
Yeah, that's right. So the 07 Aston's actually slotted into something like 11th position now, with Chris Wilson at the wheel of the Vantage GT4. So Trent Hindman, as you say, in 2nd position in the M3. Billy Johnson is 3rd, Robin Liddell 4th, and in 5th position Jade Buford, still having that awesome battle with Aschenbach in the Chevy Camaro. So it's Mustang against Camaro, nose to tail almost constantly.
Brilliant battle going on there. There's a gap of about 10 seconds back to Mike McGovern in that Jim Click Racing car number 2, another of the Mustangs, and then 2 of the Nissans. BJ Zacharias in car number 14, and his teammate Brian Heitkotter in number 41, and 2 Doran Racing Nissans. Kevin Doran, the team principal there, and he is just thrilled with this program he's put together with Nissan. Nissan's really getting behind him now. They've got some very talented young drivers there. This is not a track that really suits the Nissan. If you watch very closely, you can see that the Nissan doesn't have the straight line speed as most of the other V8 contenders, but the little V6 is really quick through the twiddly bits, and he might be a couple of seconds behind when he comes past start-finish line, but by the time they get to turn 6, the Nissan has closed that gap right up again. It's really interesting kind of horses for courses deal, if you like.
Coming down to the last 60 minutes, the gap has eased out to 6 seconds Plum to Hindman in second. Billy Johnson's only another couple of seconds, behind in that 15 Mustang. Robin Liddell trying to make time, and indeed, he was the fastest man in the top 4 last time around, a 58.4 for the number 6 Stevenson Camaro. And Robin, 8 seconds off the lead. He's about a second away from Johnson. He is closing down on that leading trio.
We saw 10-15 minutes ago, we saw Billy Johnson make a move on Trent Hindman, didn't we, down into turn 1 around the outside, but Hindman has got back past again. Last year's champion. He's pulled out, as you said, almost a couple of seconds in driving that BMW ahead of Billy Johnson's Ford Mustang, and then, well, not far back as well, also that number 6 Camaro of Robin Liddell.
Billy Johnson dealing with traffic as he heads off the stock car turn number 2 into the heavy braking area of the bus stop. You can really nail the curb on the inside, but you've got to be straight to do it. If you're at an angle, it completely unsettles the car, and then you're battling the back end of the car, trying to overtake the front. There's Mark Miller in the bright red CJ Wilson Motorsport Mazda MX-5. That car seems to be slow for a moment, as that car for a wee while was up in the sharp end of the ST field. And was that just a little stutter from that car?
There goes the number 78 car. He's running in the 17th place, Bob McCaley. Just going to turn 1 now. He's the first of the cars 1 lap down behind the Rum Bum Racing Porsche. But happy birthday to Bob McCaley, Jim McCaley's son, the president of the Long Beach Grand Prix Association. And
Jim's done a bit of racing himself as well.
He's racing. Jim's racing in the Tudor race tomorrow in the 24.
Yeah, thought he might be. Ryan Provilos is one of a number of people who has spotted on the streaming video a fantastic jester's hat on one of the corner workers, the marshals at turn 6. Watching on the streaming video live on IMSA Radio. This is the BMW 200s this afternoon. Good to have your company. Stay with us, please. The BMW Performance 200 still has exactly an hour to go. And let's head down into the pit lane and to Greg Kramer, who has Ashley Freiberg with him.
Well, I do, and I'll tell you what a great strategy once again this Fall Line team is playing. Sitting second right now. Great run in qualifying by you and a great opening stint. But you guys are off sequence to some of the other guys. What's the story now to the end of the race?
It's really tough to say. We'll have to see how the race plays out. But yeah, we have a strategy going, and I guess it all depends on what kind of cautions we have coming forward. But Trent's doing an awesome job. The car is amazing.
You just got a caution. They just threw the caution right now. Don't know why yet.
All right. Well, I guess we'll see how this plays out. But yeah, the car is awesome. Trent's doing really well. So we just got to stay patient and be up front at the end.
I tell you, when I talked to Ashley on the pre-grid, we talked about the win last year, and she said, I just never expected it. It was awesome. You guys are second now. This smile is huge on this young lady. Well done.
Thank you.
All right, and the great news is that she's on board for the full season now due to some sponsorship help from the IHC Rewards Group on that car. Awesome to hear.
Yeah, those two, Ashley Freiberg and Trent Hindman, raced together in the Skip Barber Racing School only 3 or 4 years ago, and they've kind of gone their separate paths, but isn't the coincidence now find themselves back together again in the same car.
It's the Nissan, the 29 of Brett Sandberg, that has brought out this full course caution. This is our third, with just on 58 minutes still to go. Goodly crowd sitting out there in the bleachers on the infield. You can get very close to the action on the infield circuit here, and thanks for all of you to turn out. There's not many RV places still to be taken up on the infield, and even on the Turn 1 Plaza outside of the circuit, that's getting pretty busy as well. I don't think this is going to take long to clean this up. The question is, Jeremy, who will take the pit stop, and can they go to the end? If you can go to the end, you've almost got to take the pit stop now if you're in one of the top GS cars.
No, I think we'll see just about everybody onto pit lane now, and just about everybody will be able to make it to the end from here. We're going to be about another 10 minutes under caution, so they've got less than an hour to go. That should be just about okay for these teams, and for some of them it's particularly good timing. Quite a few of the teams were getting ready for a pit stop now in any case. The car that, the most significant car that won't need as much of a pit stop, if at all, is the 07 Aston Martin that wasn't in the pits too long ago.
Might just be a quick splash and go. It will be still having to maybe come in, but it's going to be a shorter pit stop because they need less fuel. That is the advantage of being off kilter with everyone else. I'm just noticing Johnny doing exactly the same as me, just glancing skyward, us both being Northern England lads, thinking that looks like a bit of rain up there to me. It's difficult because I can't smell the air. Normally you can smell a bit of rain in the air, but that looks a bit threatening, Johnny.
I'm just thinking back to Greg Kramer's forecast he showed me at the start of today, and he said there is a chance of a shower at about 3 o'clock, and we're at 17 minutes past 3 now, so depending on how accurate that forecast is, will we be in for a little bit of precipitation?
Whilst we've got the cars moving slightly slower, because hopefully the noise level at the circuit here calms down just a little bit, an opportunity for us to say thanks to all of our corner workers and officials, the marshals up and down the pit lane and out on the circuit as well. Unsung heroes and heroines of motorsport. I'm sure that some drivers would think that there are some officials that we could do without once in a while. You guys who are flagging and doing all the hard work out there certainly aren't numbered among those, so thank you very much indeed for giving of your time. It is an absolutely imperative part of the sport. We can't have our sport without them. If you're thinking about getting closer to the sport you love, just get in touch with one of your local motor racing marshals or corner workers club. They'll be delighted to have a chat with you, tell you how you can get on board and how you can ensure that the sport continues in its very highest level. It's a good thing to do, to give up time. Now that Nissan is under tow, Jeremy, so this isn't going to be a very long stop at all.
No, and if you're wondering why there's some sort of cars are moving around different speeds at the moment, because we have the pass around, and what happens is when the full course caution comes out, because this is a two-class race, oftentimes there will be cars trapped behind the pace car but ahead of the leader in the class, and in order not to disadvantage them, then they are allowed to pass around the safety car and move around and catch up to the back of the field. So all the cars are in each class are on the same lap as each other, will therefore be able to place themselves when we before we get ready for the pit stops. On the first lap around, the GS cars will be the pits will be open, and the GS cars only will be allowed to pit. That is what is happening right now, John. And
the leader is coming in, the distinctive left-right flip-flop of the LEDs on the front of the 991 of Rum Bum Racing comes into its pit stall. Now this is going to be at least a two-tyre stop for more Continental tyres for the leader. A splash of fuel going in as well. It's sticker tyres. And at full line, slightly further down, Greg is at the pit wall.
And they are in already. Fuel going on, and the right side tires, lugs flying. They have those off that car up on the jack. Right.
Rum Bum moving already, Greg.
Wow, these Rum Bum teams, they do incredible stops. Here they come. The Aston Martin beats everybody out. The 07 is already gone. A rocket quick stop. Here comes Rum Bum. They're out. I think, though, that fall line is playing a little card here. They are going all four tires, made sure plenty of fuel was on board. I wouldn't be at all surprised if the Aston Martin and the Rum Bum team just did one side of tires or just the rears.
It was definitely left sides for the Rum Bum guys. The Aston, as Jeremy Shaw predicted, didn't need as much fuel, so they were stationary, less amount of time. Shea Adam. Hello, Shea.
Hear me, John. Yep. Trouble down at the Mantella pits where they were going to do a driver change, decided not to at the last minute, and elected to give each of their drivers, Mark Wilkins and Kyle Marcelli, 4 new tires. Well, all went well for Mark Wilkins, but when Kyle was going to leave the pits, he hit the 2 sets of tires that had come off of the right side of Wilkins' car straight on. That will be a penalty.
Okay, thank you, Shea. And that's a shame because they were running well up the field. Jeremy, you called it. Less fuel needs to go in, the car can stand still. Now, question is, what tyres did they put on? I think that was only left sides on the Aston.
I don't think they changed tyres on the Aston. I think they just had fuel only in the Aston, most likely. What's interesting, however, the 2 cars did not pit. Billy Johnson in car number 15, which did surprise me. The number 2 car, Mike McGovern, which didn't surprise me because that wasn't in Well, I guess number 2 car was in not that long ago. Number 15 car hadn't been in for a while, so I'm not quite sure why that didn't come onto pit lane. All the other leaders did, though. But you're right. The Aston Martin that was the quickest stop of all. What I'd like to know is whether the Rum Bum team switched tyres on that Porsche. We couldn't really
left side only.
It was left side only. Thank you very much.
Left side only. I saw. If they did right sides, they must have been blazing quick. But I think they did left side Continental tyres.
And that's Joe Varley according to the strategy down there at Rum Bum Racing.
Now, Greg can update us on the Aston Martin 07. Tyres, no tyres, just fuel. How did it go down there, Greg?
Well, Jeremy called it because they had done a stop about 15 minutes ago. I talked to Kevin Buckler. He said, we did our tyres on that stop. So on this one, it was simply enough fuel to get to the end. So they'll have slightly older tyres, but not by a lot. But they got the track position advantage with that very quick fuel and go.
I can't figure out why number 15 car didn't come onto pit lane.
Well, Mike McGovern didn't stop either, but
no,
he was
off strategy with everybody else. That's fine. He was in the pits not too long ago, only maybe 10 minutes or so ago.
I wonder if he could go all the way.
Well, it's going to be a stretch, I think, but you know, the team obviously presumably thinks he can.
Strategy playing out here at Daytona International Speedway. You're listening to live coverage of the BMW Performance 200. It's the Continental Tire Road Race Showcase, the first round of the CTSCC for 2015. It's Jeremy Shaw, Johnny Palmer and John Hindhaugh with down in the pits Greg Kramer and Shea Adam down there as well, and a very, very empty pit lane.
Yeah, because
as everybody has gone through from the GS.
Yes, all the GS cars pitted last time. This lap, the ST cars could pit, but they've all been in just a little while ago, about halfway through the race, so they should be good to go to the end. So there's really just a couple of the cars. One of the Freedom Autosport Master MX-5, and I think that's one of the, is that the number 34 car as well? No, it's not. It's one of the Rebel Rock Porsche Caymans and one of the BMWs as well. But all the main contenders in ST, they're good to go, having made their one and only pit stop just a little while ago.
Yeah, anybody who's got an issue now could come in and basically get a free look at any problems that might have been befalling them. Can't understand, I cannot understand, I'm with Jeremy on this one, why the 15 car did not come in. This is the Multimatic Motorsports Mustang, dark blue car. Billy Johnson took that over from Scott Maxwell. They must be thinking that with enough yellow, that's the only thing I can
there's
think.
No way, no. Well, not unless it goes yellow pretty much the whole rest of the way.
Okay, when were they last in, Jeremy?
They were last in on lap 24. So
so they've done 20 laps.
Which was, you know, that was 48 minutes ago.
Yeah, they've done 20 laps, exactly. So that's
kind of weird, honestly.
Unless they just missed it, and once you've missed it, I guess all you can do is try and tough it out. They're going to lose. They're going to lose track position when they come in. Mike McGovern, the 2 car. Now this is the interesting one. This is the Jim Click Racing Mustang in second place. Now this is the one that might be able to stretch.
Yes, it is. And then Chris Wilson therefore in third in the 07 Aston Martin. Matt Plum in fourth place, a leader for much of the race for Rum Bum Racing. Trent Hinman in car number 46 for BMW in fifth place. Robin Liddell, the Chevrolet Camaro, car number 6 in sixth. Jade Buford in the other Multimatic Ford Mustang, the race leader, is car number 15, Billy Johnson. Car number 158, Jay Buford in 7th place, having had that fabulous battle with Awesome Loss Narschenbach in car number 9 for Stevenson Motorsports Chevrolet Camaro. And then BJ Zacharias in 9th place, number 14 Nissan. And young Timmy Rivers, who's got back into that number 57 Racers Edge Motorsports Ford Mustang, with Michael Lira having driven the middle stint.
07 Aston's only dropped down to third, having made the extra pit stop, of course, because of the different strategy. We'll have a think about that and come back to you in a moment. Meantime, let's head down to the pit lane. Shea Adam is down there. Shea, which pit stall have you wandered down to now?
I was just down at Rum Bum and got confirmation they took 2 tires only. So playing a bit of a strategy card here at this point. And the clouds are looking rather ominous over toward the west, but not expecting to get rain before the end of the race. Many teams are saying it should stay dry.
Okay, that's weather forecast has been pushing the precipitation further back through the afternoon as it goes. I think we might just be lucky here. I talked to Robin Liddell this morning. He said maybe just beyond the end of the race. We're not too far away from going back green. We're going to have about 45 minutes of racing, maybe 40 minutes, and here is someone looking to get into the pit lane right up alongside.
It's Billy Johnson.
And it's Billy Johnson. There has been a snafu, hasn't there?
Yep.
And that, Johnny, is going to kill him because he's going to drop with the whole field behind him. He's going to drop not only positions in GS, but also he's going to have the whole field to get by.
Yeah, the thing about that, sorry,
it's okay.
Johnny,
No.
The thing about the Mustang gets, we saw that Mustangs in the early part of the race, they were the first cars on pit lane. They only have an 80.5 gallon fuel tank, and that Mustang is pretty thirsty. So they're struggling to get any real distance out of that tank of fuel compared to many of the other cars. So
this could be.
It could be they didn't have any choice.
Now.
Yeah, it could be. We'll have to
absolutely.
see what happens with the other car, the 158, which did stop with everybody else. But I still think that they'd have been better off coming in with everybody else, because then, if there had been more cautions, then they would have been good to go in any case. So I'm fairly sure there must have been a miscommunication down there in number 15 pit.
They're hoping that other cars are going to have to splash before the end. That's
they're
their only hope.
They're hoping there's going to be a huge pile-up, quite frankly. But then, they will put on fresh tyres now, and they will certainly have a very fast car, and we will have the split grid again for the restart. So they'll still be on the lead lap. They'll be back in 16th or 15th place, probably. There's 15 cars on the lead lap in GS.
What they've just
and
missed.
Billy is going to have a race on his hands.
What they've just missed, though, Jeremy, by coming in when they did, was the GS cars being split ahead of the ST cars, so they're going to be sitting right in behind the ST field.
No, he'll go past them, because it will be a split field again for the restart.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just wondering if there's time for him to do that. The safety car lights are still on.
Yeah, they'll have one more lap to be able to do that, I believe.
So it comes down, Johnny, to probably about a 42-43 minute sprint, and we're looking forward to that immensely, aren't we?
Incredibly so, yes, and there is still strategy to be borne out within that 40 minutes, isn't there, with different cars approaching it from kind of different angles, different strategies that have sort of been split through the race, not least the man who's just rejoined, Billy Johnson. And the question is, maybe with another caution, can he stretch the envelope to the end of the race? And as you say, others need to come in for a quick splash. In other words, in that respect, he could be perfectly placed.
Could be one or two people having to pedal a little softly as well ahead of him to try and get the fuel mileage. I tell you, who did win it all out of that was Robin Liddell in the 15 Stevenson car.
He got up to third position before the caution, and was really well placed. Good move to get into the podium spots. So at the start of the caution, up to third position and well positioned. Dropped to fifth now because, of course, we had those two cars that stay out. But again, that one could be one to watch.
I think I might be wrong here, really. Making that late stop, I'm not so sure that Billy Johnson can leapfrog past the ST cars.
We've been speculating, because that's what we do best, about why the 15 Multimatic Mustang didn't come in with everyone else. Greg Kramer has gone down to the team to find out exactly what the story is. Greg?
Yeah, and it's an unfortunate one. When I had talked to Scott Maxwell earlier during the broadcast on air, he had talked about they just seemed to be a little bit down on power. They couldn't even advantage anything in the draft, and they were kind of sitting ducks there. They were still good in the infield. He said that it seemed to be getting a little bit worse. He said Billy Johnson apparently recycled the ECU on the car, shut it off, recycled it, and what it did, it shut the radio down, and it never came back up, and he missed the pit open shout from the crew. Simple as that. So the problem now is, as you pointed out, Jeremy, they're at the back, have to come up through this field as we go back to green, and still suffering from a down on power motor.
And Matt Plum and Chris Wilson having a wee bit of a battle there. Plum right up the rear end of... Oh, it was a touch. There was a touch with the Camaro in front of him. In fact, that's not Chris Wilson. That's one of the lap cars with tape on it. But Matt Plum having to try and pick his way through. It's McGovern, Wilson as they go through. And they are very, very tight indeed into the International Horseshoe. The ST battle continues with Wayne Nonamaker leading out from Eric Foss and James Clay. Spencer Pumpelly there going right round the outside. Tremendous manoeuvre, and there's some positions being made up there as well. And we've perfectly set now as the BMW M4, excuse me, pace car comes back into the pit lane, out of the way of the action on the circuit. McGovern, Wilson, they're all there at the front. Robin Liddell looking racing as well as he's fighting his way through. He's going to have to defend there. Liddell, hung out to dry on the outside, but trying to get the power on that Camaro, and does so. And he's got his teammate right in behind him again. Those two Stevenson Camaros. And meantime, in the ST category, it's Foss and Clay and everyone else in third.
Yeah, and Billy Johnson trying to find his way through because he made that pit stop right at the end of the pit window. He wasn't able to get past all the ST cars, so he's got to work his way all the way past them and then catch up to the rest of the GS field. So yeah, a big miscue there for Multimatic Motorsports. Whoa, there's the Aston Martin straight lining. Oh, yikes. Is that Carl Marcelli as well?
I think there might be a little bit of something down there. There was a few people missing their brake. Oh, well, they're just perhaps not getting their Continental tyres up to temps and pressures after that stop. However, there are going to be people now who are back timing this because we are down to under 41 minutes of this race to go, and I'm hearing from the Twitters out there, and it is raining on the front straight. Thank you for Meowers understeer. And also, I think, Greg, are you feeling those in the pit lane now as well?
I am indeed. The wind picked up noticeably for just a little bit. Then things get darkened up a lot more, and now we are feeling some drops. And on the pre-grid, when I was doing the pre-race for the track, I talked to Hugh Plum, and he said, we're praying for rain. This Porsche loves it, all that weight right on those drive wheels.
Hello to Jeff Mosing, who is on baby standby. He says, go Scrappy. He's tweeted at IMSA Radio. And to Chris in the UK, watching his first Continental Tyres race, says, are you all covering the whole season on IMSA Radio and streaming video? Yes, we are. We will be running right throughout this season. And if it's going to be anything like this, we're in for an absolutely cracking season. As the 17 of Spencer Pumpelly has again making a manoeuvre there. Spencer just proving that he has lost none of his speed down through the years. Johnny Palmer and Jeremy Shaw with me in the booth, and this is just hotting up nicely, Jeremy, and Johnny, we're just throwing in, just add water.
Well, yeah, you've always said that makes the perfect cocktail, and doesn't it just? Matt Plum, though, in his element, an absolutely wonderful move around the outside of Chris Wilson into turn number 1 to take second position, and it's now throwing down the gauntlet to Matt Plum to see whether he can catch Mike McGovern. The little Porsche is pedalling its heart out down the back straight. Don't think it gained too much on the straight line stuff versus the Ford Mustang of Mike McGovern. But through the twisty stuff, the infield section, that rum-bum Porsche really does enjoy itself. And it was the 09 Aston which couldn't get stopped. Ken Wilden into the bus stop. Cool. There was contact. There was a straight-lining Mustang as well, Camaro, I beg your pardon. And a weird angle for Ken Wilden to be heading into the bus stop there.
And he clipped the Gulf-coloured Camaro on the back right quarter there. And has done some damage. Side by side now with the Aston and the Camaro, and Liddell goes around the outside. Oh. No, he doesn't. Yes, he does. He goes through and drops in behind the Porsche of Matt Plum, and that is Robin Liddell making his play for the front of the field. Has to just defend slightly as he takes the inside line heading into the International Horseshoe. So it's McGovern, and has Chris Wilson got past Matt Plum there on the last one as well?
No.
So where is that zero? Oh, there it is. It's okay. Sorry.
Behind the Chevy Camaro.
Yeah.
Tell you what, Billy Johnson, he's got his tail up. He just set the fastest lap of the race at 1 minute 57.8. It's only 0.3 of a second quicker, however, than the race leaders. Actually, no, it was a second and a half quicker than the race leaders, but it was the fastest lap of the race by Billy Johnson, down in 13th place in car number 15.
So they head out onto the Super Speedway again. Let's have a quick update from the pit lane. Here's Greg Kramer.
Had a chat a bit earlier with Lawson Aschenbach, who of course now behind the wheel of the number 9 car, and he gave me some insight as to why Robin Liddell may have just been able to make that pass. He said even though we're the heaviest car out there, he said this thing is absolutely superb on the brakes. He said we can go in deep, they just work. Even all this weight, they work, they slow it down, and that may be why that beautiful pass was able to be made by Robin Liddell, who now seems to be closing in on Matt Plum.
Yeah, he is definitely quicker. 57.9, the best lap for Robin Liddell in that car, was turned last time around at the end of lap number We're getting down towards the last 35, 36 minutes or so, and this is going to be very interesting indeed. I remember a race, I think it was last season or the season before, Jeremy, when Robert Liddell was chasing Ferraris down in a Stevenson Camaro that was low on tyre grip, and he muscled that car to the finish and pretty much carried it on his back, but did get the finish. He, with a sniff of something possibly better than a podium finish, will be pushing very hard indeed.
Lawson Ashenbach, ran the outside of the Aston, very nearly made it stick, not quite, side-by-side action though.
Great battle for the lead. I mean, they closed right in there on Mike McGovern. McGovern may even put the power down quite nicely, coming out of turn one, edges out just a little bit, but this battle joined at the front of the field. There's three cars, the Mustang, the Porsche in second place, the Camaro in third place, pretty much nose to tail going down to the second of the Horseshoe Bends.
2:13.6, the top three that Jeremy's mentioned, then the Aston Martin 07, then Lawson Ashenbach in the 9, then the 46 of Trent Hinman, BJ Zacharias in the 14 car is 7th. He's only 2.5 seconds back, not even that. Then there's a bit of a gap, a couple of seconds only, to Jade Buford in the second of the Multimatic Mustangs, the 158. But it's all on at the front of the field at the moment. The top three almost as one as they head back onto the banking again. And Mike McGovern pulls out maybe a couple of cars' lengths to Matt Plum. Can Robin Liddell get in the draft? The hole in the air. It's a small hole in the air that the Porsche makes, and he's not gaining as he comes round the faster parts of the circuit. Now dropping down to get the brakes on, and Plum's got the windscreen wipers on. The windshield is beginning to pick up a little bit of rain. The question is, will it be enough to have to change your driving style? Sometimes you get what we call virtual rain. It is raining, you can see it on the screen, and you think you need to change it, but the heat of the slick tyres is enough to clear through it, Jeremy, and sometimes you can be a little bit too conservative.
Yeah, absolutely right. You know, it's fine for the drivers right now. If it intensifies anymore, it's certainly going to become potentially going to become a problem. Right now, it's okay. But in ST, let's just say that Eric Foss has retaken the lead in ST, but Spencer Pompelli has just set the fastest lap of the race in ST. So it's number 56 that leads, number 17 in second place.
Going to try and get down the pits in a moment with Shea, but it's Robin Liddell at the moment who's right up the tailpipes of the Porsche of Matt Plum ahead, heading into the International Horseshoe, the right-hand hairpin, and
behind Lawson Ashenbach is through and into fourth position, having overtaken Chris Wilson.
Right, we'll keep an eye on that. Let's see if we can have a quick word with Matt Bell and Shea Adams. Shea?
Matt Lawson's just gone into fourth position. What has he been radioing back about the car?
You know, it's a bunch of different things, but for the most part, the car seems to be doing pretty well. We're fighting, you know, a handful of issues. This isn't our track. This is obviously a track that values high speed, and our car's the biggest car in the field. It might have the biggest engine, but it's got a lot of air that it's pushing out of the way. So compared to things like the Aston Martin, really low frontal area, big engine, Mustang, low frontal area, big engine, and Porsche, almost no frontal area, and still a powerful engine, it's pretty difficult for us to keep up on the straights. We're trying to capitalize on the infield, but you know, we're just going to do what we can and see how things turn out.
Would rain help you?
I actually think it might. You know, the Porsches are pretty good in the rain, and I don't think the Subaru's up close enough to do too much. I think we're one of the better cars in the rain, so absolutely. I think if the rain came in, we're in obviously a pretty good position now, but it might actually help us out against the Mustang.
Well, for not being your track, you're running in third and fourth, which is pretty darn good. What is the strategy from here on out with just over 30 minutes to go?
It's just push. You know, I don't know where we are in fuel and everything like that, but I think for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. Try to improve your position or hold the one you've got. You know, both Robin and Lawson are professionals. They're great drivers, and they'll do their best to maybe both of them get up on the podium.
Thanks.
Shea Adam down in the pit lane. I just wonder whether the two Stevenson cars can possibly work together. We'll leave Shea down at Stevenson, and Greg can wander down to Rumbum, because we seem to think that they are the two teams that might be in with a shout at the end. Just had Adam Green tweet in, somebody start prepping the booth with a plastic sheet for when Hindhaug's head explodes in 30 minutes. If we had been live and showing you the pictures a few moments ago, it would have been necessary there. We had 3 of the ST cars across the track are all trying to hit the same braking point and turn into turn one. Marvellous stuff. No harm, no foul. They all continue. At the head of the field, Mike McGovern, Jeremy, is now under extreme pressure from Matt Plum, Robin Liddell and Lawson Aschenbach.
He is indeed, but what a job he's doing there, Mike McGovern. He's 52 years old. He's been around the sport a long, long time. One of the, I believe, one of the longest serving instructors at Bob Durant Racing School, I believe, certainly from the Arizona area. But he's doing a fabulous job. He was fast here at the Raw test a couple of weeks ago, and he's showing why right now. He's taken over from Jim Click early in this race, and what a job both of those two gentlemen have done. And he's hanging on there. You can see, watching out of the corners, that Mustang really puts the power down, leaps off the corners ahead of the Porsche, and then the Porsche comes back at him later on in the straightaways. But there are those two Chevrolet Camaros from Stevenson Motorsports lurking there in third and fourth place.
I fancy that Robin Liddell thinks he can do better than third, Johnny, don't you?
Very much so, yeah. The body language of the car coming out of the bus stop would certainly back that up. I'm also fascinated by the battle for ST, which is heading through the second of the horseshoes right now. There's no more than a Porsche Cayman between them as they break for the left-hander. And Spencer Pumpelly is applying the pressure here to Eric Foss. When they come down to Speedway Turn 4 and through the tri-oval, it's impossible to tell there are two cars there. They are so close together.
There is a gap in the space-time continuum. It's side-by-side action again at the front of the field as Matt Plum goes round the outside of McGovern. Can't get it done. Can he do the cutback? No. And the Stevenson twins are sitting in there in the Camaro thinking, hey, we are loving this.
Look at that Mustang leap off turn one there. Isn't that great? It pulls out sort of 3 or 4 or 5 car lengths, but then under braking again, the Porsche comes right back.
It's not, you know, before the end of this race, and let's remind ourselves, we've got half an hour, 30 minutes still to go. The lead quartet in the front of the field in GS are going to catch the ST leaders, and then all bets are off because everybody's racing and nobody's looking in their mirrors. That is going to be brilliantly good. And so half an hour to go then. Thank you for joining us. This has been great so far. And don't write any headlines or press releases yet. It's Daytona International Speedway. We're live for the BMW Performance 200 here on IMSA Radio. It's the first round of 2015 season of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, and we are seeing a variety of cars with a variety of strengths battling out at the head of the field. McGovern, Plum, Liddell and Aschenbach are separated by nothing at all, and in ST, Foss, Spencer Pumpelly just moved away by about 3 or 4 seconds to Adam Isman in third position in the 18. Then it's Connor Bloom, David Murray up into 5th position in ST ahead of Wayne Nonamaker, who's dropped back since the restart, James Clay and Greg Leofugi. The problem is you only have to make a tiny mistake or just get offline a little bit, Jeremy. Maybe that's what's happened to Wayne, and you'll drop 2 or 3 places.
Well, yeah, it has been so close there, but we see the Rennsport 1 cars, 17, 18 and 19, cars 17, 18, 19 running second, third and fourth there in the SD class. What a great official debut for that team it has been this weekend, or this week, at Daytona International Speedway.
And back to the front of the field, and again the Porsche, this time side by side, dragging up the fronts of the cars at equal, and now can he get on the brakes later? He can, and goes back through into the lead, and Matt Plum leads it at the end of lap number 53 with 28.5 minutes to go. There is a change of the lead. Matt Plum goes back into the lead. Mike McGovern in second, and now can Robin Liddell and Lawson Aschenbach, can they make capital on this? The Mustang is not given up though, and Mike McGovern follows in the wheel tracks of the Porsche as they head onto the infield section, and a huge cheer. I heard the clapping and the cheer from down at the Rum Bum Pit, which is where Greg is stationed.
Standing right next to Hugh Plum, and as he went for the move, Brother Matt went to that outside move. He wouldn't believe it. He was shaking his head no, going, not yet, not yet. Finally, when he closed the deal on it, he was still nervous about it on the exit. Then the applause erupted. That was a huge pass. Nick Longy had just leaned over a little bit ago and said, that Mustang has the motor, and that Mustang hooks up coming out of the turns. The Camaros are great on the brakes, and then, of course, the Porsche drafts great, good top speed, and just a great blend we're seeing right now. But boy, that was a close move right there, I saw.
ST leaders are at it again as well for a moment. I did think Spencer Pumpelly might have had an opportunity. He was right on the back bumper of Eric Foss, but he had to give best into the braking area in turn 1.
Yeah, it looked like Eric Foss got a bit of a slide on there, didn't he, going into turn 1. And in the meantime, the overall race leader, and another of the Porsches, the 911 Porsche, Matt Plum, he was able to get a lapped car between himself and his pursuers going out of onto the NASCAR banking. So he's pulled out a little bit of an edge in the overall lead.
It's now not if but when, I think, for Spencer Pumpelly. He's decided to push the go button, and now he's attacking all the time, and Eric Foss is having to defend, having to take the inside line, and Spencer is applying the pressure. Meantime, at the head of the field, the inside line taken by the leader in the multicoloured Rum Bum Porsche, and the big Mustang with the big engine. That's the one to have, apparently. Thiz, the guys at Rum Bum, well, they've been proved right there, but he can't get it stopped. McGovern just has to claw that car onto the left-hand side of the circuit and somehow shake hands with the apex. I didn't think, Johnny, he was going to get anywhere near that apex of turn 1.
It was touch and go, wasn't it? But just about made it stick. And of course, if things do go wrong, not only will Matt Plum go through, but Robin Liddell and Lawson Aschenbach are waiting in the wings. So high pressure stuff, but Mike McGovern pulled it off and he's back in front of them all.
Brilliant job by Mike McGovern, absolutely superb. I mean, that Mustang has great straight line speed, but he held it all together under braking. A great move that was.
Yes, the car didn't actually want to turn left at that point, but by sheer force of will, I think the 52-year-old Mike McGovern, 52-year-olds, he managed to drag it in there. I wonder if old age and treachery might just hang out here. Matt Plum and Robin Liddell and Lawson Aschenbach all chasing him down at the moment.
Yeah, combined age of 122 in the lead car at the moment. You've got to love that.
Yeah,
and their best finish previously, I believe, is a 5th place. So, they've been challenging for the lead here. They were quick at the raw test. They've been challenging for the lead all the way along. And, it looks like if they can hold it together here, a lot better than the 5th place finish.
It was a pretty clean pass, but when he got into the braking area, there was just a moment when he was about a car's width away, the brake discs absolutely glowing, and he got completely sideways. Little dab of Oppo and a dab of the brakes, just to make sure that Matt Plum behind him was not tempted to try and go up the left-hand side. Now the question is Mike McGovern taking too much out of those brakes? At the moment, he is pulling away. No, he's not. As soon as I say that, the Porsche comes back at him, and Robin Liddell has broken away from Lawson Aschenbach, and the aerodynamic effect here. You're not used to super speedways like this, Johnny, as here comes another battle for the lead down into turn 1. You read, and here's Liddell. Liddell's right in there as well. Super late on the brakes from Robin, and all of a sudden the leading pair becomes a leading trio again. But this drafting that we're seeing here, we don't get to see so much of this back in Europe because the speeds aren't as high.
No, that's right, and it demonstrates aerodynamics to a T, doesn't it, to be able to get in the slipstream of a car, and then you just get sucked along so much quicker, and the advantage is with the pursuer. And we've seen that a number of times just within this battle. On board with Robin Liddell now heading towards the second of the horseshoes, and it's the battle of the late breakers. There's some moisture down there as well.
I think we've got away with the shower.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be. We could see just a little bit of rain outside the window a little while ago. It seems to be not there at the moment.
The lead, the combined gaps in the two battles for the lead as Robin Liddell tries to go around the inside, coming back onto the speedway there, got alongside, got the nose of the Stevenson Camaro about to the right-hand side door of Matt Plum's car, but no further. No, the combined lead is less than half a second between first and second in the two categories here, and it doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon as Spencer Pumpelly once again drags up to the bright orange rear bumper of Eric Foss's Cayman as they come round and into turn 1. The brake lights go on. Third position, by the way, Adam Isman is just about holding his own at the moment. He's not closing in on these guys, even though that they are slightly slower than their optimum, as the leaders now are together again, and the Porsche this time has position, has to go up high early on, will have to dip back into the hole in the air being made by the lead Mustang of McGovern, and McGovern just sticking to that inside yellow line. That's absolutely the right thing to do. Robin Liddell hoping perhaps that there will be an issue for the guys ahead of them, and Matt Plum and Mike McGovern with Robin Liddell making just great entertainment as Aschenbach is back in 4th position at the moment. If you're watching the stream, you can see that we have got Robin Liddell's onboard camera there as we're going through traffic.
That is Mike McGovern right ahead of him, and once again Matt Plum there using a slower car to make out just a little bit of an advantage over the Mustang and the Camaro, battling for 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, just nipped by there as the TV guys on their show were coming back to start a segment. And for those asking about the video replays on demand of this, as soon as the race has aired on television, 24 hours later, at an absolute maximum, it will be up on the IMSA Facebook and IMSA YouTube page. So it's the last 21.5 minutes from Daytona. It's the BMW Performance 200. Just on 2 hours and 9 minutes ago, Adrian White of the IHG Rewards Club waved the green flag, and since then we've had battle royales all the way through the field. Eric Foss and Spencer Pumpelly continue this ridiculous fight, and it is so much concentration from Spencer Pumpelly going into, not running into him, and just trying to keep the pressure on. I'm super impressed. Spencer continues to impress me, Jeremy.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you know, I mean, they're basically identical cars. They're the top 4. They're all Porsche Caymans. And David Murray there in 5th place, the best of the BMWs. Then James Clay in the newer shape BMW, and Gregory Liefuger in the another Porsche Cayman as well. So they're all fairly closely matched in terms of lap time.
Just an intake of breath from this commentator, Johnny, as the leaders are in traffic, and once again Matt Plum has managed to put a lapped car between themselves, and Rod Liddell takes the opportunity, comes round the outside into the international horseshoe, but he can't make it stick as the lapped car pulls out of the way. There's almost contact left front to right rear between the Camaro and the Mustang, and Mike McGovern's got a battle on his hands now as he's got a very, very racy Scotsman right on his tailpipes. The Mustang beginning to slide around. I wonder now if he's running out of grip. It is raining a little heavier as well, and Robin Liddell using the curb, still with the confidence to use the curb in the Stevenson Camaro, even though it's wet. And there's been a change at the ST head of the field as Spencer Pumpelly, of course it has. The moment we look away, Spencer Pumpelly nips through and goes into the lead ahead of Eric Foss. Meantime, the battle for 1st, 2nd and 3rd, Matt Plum getting away from the 2 big front-engine American V8s. And Robin Liddell must have sensed an opportunity there within the traffic, Johnny, but just couldn't get it done.
No, it was sneaking up on the outside into the first of the horseshoes, first of the right-handed horseshoes, but because of the amount of traffic and the relatively narrow circuit there, just couldn't squeeze through, and then pushed Mike McGovern virtually all the way down to the 2nd horseshoe. And McGovern is struggling on those tyres, whether it's just the rubber getting ever more old or it's because the rain is coming down a little heavier, difficult to tell. Again, nose to tail between the ST leaders, this time the other way around, as we've mentioned, Spencer Pumpelly and Eric Foss, but all of a sudden the hunter becomes the hunted, and the pressure is on Pumpelly now not to make a mistake.
And Adam Isman there in 3rd place, and Connor Bloom in car number 19 is the quickest of that quartet.
Round the outside, side by side, and again, that was the leads change. Pumpelly seeing it again just from a lap ago. Spencer Pumpelly got that done, and coming down into the braking area for, it looked to me, for the bus stop, and has managed to pull out a couple of 3 Cayman's lengths, and that's as much of a lead as we've seen in the last 2 hours, 11 minutes and 29 seconds, Jeremy.
I agree with you there, and Spencer Pumpelly there using his experience, biding his time, waiting for his moment, and now can he seize that advantage and drive home that advantage and edge away a little bit from last year's champion Eric Foss? We will see, but certainly as they go back onto the banking now, there's only a Cayman's length or 2 between those 2 cars at the head of the ST field.
In the GS category, it's still 13 Rumbum Porsche, Matt Plum leading from Mike McGovern in the Mustang in 2nd, the number 2. Then Robin Liddell in the 1st of the Stevenson Camaros in 3rd position. Lawson Aschenbach, the 4th place guys, the 2nd of the Stevenson cars. Then Trent Hinman in the 46. And slow traffic now for Mike McGovern. as he is stuck in behind a gaggle of the ST cars, and that might just slow his entrance onto the banking. Now, is this an opportunity? He dives to the inside first of all to try and get a bit of a draft. That Nissan is quick ahead of him. That's the 41 car that he's trying to get a draft from. Now look to the outside. There is some moisture on the windscreen there as they come down through the backside of the circuit and go into the braking area for the bus stop chicane, and Robin Liddell hasn't been able to put pressure on. And has the Porsche got away just a little bit?
Well, we're on board here with, that's Billy Johnson, who's worked his way up to 7th place now, right behind Brian Heitkotter. Yeah, it's a bit confusing there. In the best of the Nissans, who's right ahead of him now, coming through NASCAR 3 and 4 and onto the front straightaway here. But what a great drive it's been by Billy Johnson. He set the fastest lap of the race again a little while ago, 1 minute 57.3. That's a couple of tenths quicker than Lawson Aschenbach in the Chevy Camaro, 157.5. The race leader last time around turned a 1 minute 58.6.
I should have noticed the big number 15 under the Ford Blue oval, but I was too busy looking at the back of the Heitkotter Nissan in front of us. That is the battle for 6th position. Thank you, Jeremy.
And that was Bob McKaylee and the birthday boy on being passed there by Billy Johnson.
It's a very busy lap here. I mean, you get a little bit of respite on the oval parts of the circuit, but you have to be so precise. Now the Rum Bum Porsche has got away just a little bit, and now let's go back to 2nd position. Robin Liddell and Mike McGovern, and it is Mike McGovern this time who's been hassled by the Corvette, by the Camaro. And Robin again with some traffic ahead. Now, is this an opportunity for the BRDC club member? Big sideways moment there for McGovern
right
in 2nd place.
Wall,
he was right there. If he hasn't white-walled the tyres, he must have been close to it. Staying on the high line, getting rid of the ST traffic. 2 drivers left. Now looking for the braking point. It's a long way down this straight. It's much further than it looks. Little dab of the brakes from McGovern to make sure the pads are still there. He must have been running the curbs as Matt Plum has pulled out. Oh, probably the best part of a couple of seconds now on the battling 2nd and 3rd place cars. Johnny.
Yeah, that was helped by traffic. It was a second as they started this lap between Matt Plum and Mike McGovern, but I think it's grown just since then. And this time, actually, McGovern able to stretch his legs a little bit on Robin Liddell. Again, able to apply the power, I think, McGovern just a touch quicker than Liddell as they exited the bus stop. Lawson Aschenbach still sat there in 4th position. Trent Hinman a little bit on his own in 5th, but then you've got this cracking scrap for 6th and 7th involving Brian Heitkotter and Billy Johnson, as we've mentioned, and Billy Johnson trying to make up ground after that rather difficult pit stop with his pit radio packed up, and he missed the window at the start of the last caution.
Yeah, he's done a fine job though to work his way back into the top 7 and certainly, or top 6 now, having got past Brian Heitkotter on that lap. And also behind them now is Jade Buford in the 2nd of the Multimatic Nissan. So he's fallen back to 9th place in kind of 158, started by Austin Cindric, and Chris Wilson has just moved past Jade Buford into 8th place in the 07 Aston Martin. Meanwhile, in ST, it's still Spencer Pumpelly by, well, a massive 0.4 of a second last time around. But Adam Isman, he's just creeping a little bit closer there in 3rd place and bringing Connor Bloom with him as well. There's a couple of seconds between the 1st and 2nd place car and the 3rd place car, and then another couple of seconds back to the 4th place. But they are running very similar lap times, but the 3rd and 4th just a little bit quicker each time. David Murray hanging on there in the BMW as well.
Now, with Matt Plum edging away, I think Stevenson Motorsport may have to face up to the fact that they're not going to win this race, but they would like to get 2 cars on the podium, I'm sure, and they're hunting down Mike McGovern with every corner, hard onto the brakes, then up to the bus stop, and almost squirming from left to right there, Mike McGovern's car, as he applies the brakes and brakes as late as possible, much as he did at turn number 1 a few laps ago.
And I wonder if that is going to be the Achilles heel for the Mustang. He's using those brakes awfully hard, and he's still got 13 minutes, let's remind ourselves, to hold off Lawson Aschenbach has closed in on his teammate Robin Liddell, and it may be again that they can use a bit of a double team.
I was just going to say, does he have enough fuel? Well, the answer is right here, because unfortunately, the number 2 car of Mike McGovern is making its way onto pit lane. We wondered about that, and it would appear that he does need a splash of fuel.
12.5 minutes short for the Mustang. It's a splash of fuel, no sense of him getting any new Continental rubber, and that has left Matt Plum then with a 3.7 second lead ahead of Robin Liddell, who's got 4/10 on his teammate Lawson Aschenbach. Now the Stevenson cars absolutely need to work together to drag back to this Porsche. Jeremy.
And we've got the overall race leader just putting a lap on the ST leader as well, going down into one of the horseshoes, the second one.
Billy Johnson's got ahead of Brian Highcotter, by the way, now. So
he's had to pass every car in the field to get there.
Pretty much.
Brilliant drive by Billy.
But he stopped at the latest of all these in the top
45
5 or 6,
minutes
didn't
to go.
Sure.
Yeah.
45 minutes to go.
But off sequence with everybody else because he missed the pit window when everybody else came onto pit lane. So he had to wait for everybody else to pit, and then he rejoined at the back of the field. Not just the back of the GS field. If it had been just at the back of the GS field, he'd have still been able to make this work. But for the back of the entire field, that's a much tougher nut to crack.
I reckon he's passed 44 cars, 45 cars to get where he is in the last 40 minutes. He's had an interesting run. The onboard from that, if he's got his GoPro in there, will look pretty good for some Sunday afternoon viewing when he gets back home. Matt Plum, though, doing a cracking job. 1:58.1 last time around, by far the quickest lap. He has had a fairly clear run round the 3.5 miles or thereabouts of Daytona International Speedway. Well, Johnny, you've been watching practice and qualifying, a bit of Ferrari racing this morning. This track races very, very well indeed, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, and it's far more technical than I'd kind of considered just watching at home in the armchair back in the UK. Certainly the infield offers a lot more of a challenge than perhaps the cameras portray. And having chatted to 1 or 2 drivers in the paddock as well that are fresh to a super speedway, they love the banked sections here, 32 degrees, just fully flat, regardless of what car you're in. And I chatted to Rory Butcher, who's in the main race tomorrow, and he said actually the steering lock required isn't that much at all, just to pitch it in and you know, get it round the speedway turns at 1 and 2, and then round to 3 and 4.
I've driven on a couple of those test tracks, one in Japan in particular, and there's you can go in there at 100 miles an hour. You don't even need to touch the you don't take your hands off the steering wheel, and it'll just go into the corner if you're at the right speed. 100 miles an hour, just go around the top of it. It's really steep banking. It's more than 31 degrees.
Remind me never to get a lift back to the hotel.
I was alongside one of the Japanese engineers. It was a Honda test track. He said, "You don't need your hands on the wheel." I said, "You've got to be kidding." So I've got I'm trying. I've got to try this. Put my hands are right there, I can tell you.
Well, Adam Isman is gripping the wheel tighter still in 3rd position in ST, as he has now closed right down on Eric Foss and sniffs a 2nd position. He's got the drag, he has the slipstream, pulls out, tries the slingshot manoeuvre down into turn number 1. They're side by side. Oh, and here comes one of the faster Mustangs, that Billy Johnson, coming through on the inside. They're coming into the bus stop, excuse me, and they have to all give best. That was amazing stuff. And through has gone then Isman ahead of Eric Foss, the 18 car, up in the 2nd position. And that was a very forceful manoeuvre as the Mustang goes high, wide and handsome over the top of the pair of them. But that was real heads-up driving by all concerned. That could have ended up in a very, very expensive set of cars that are reduced to their component parts. And that was Billy Johnson, by the way, going round them. Brian Highcotter in the Nissan is holding on to Billy. Once Billy got through and put about 2 or 3 cars lengths on him, but Highcotter being dragged back through the field. They are in 5th and 6th position at the moment, and Highcotter a 58.4 last time around, fastest man in the top 6. Yeah,
and only a couple of tenths away, or 3 tenths away from his best lap in that car. I think, I'm not sure whether it was he or Nick McMillan set that best car. It was way back on lap 35, but that car is super consistent, running very, very nicely there. That Doran Racing Nissan in 6th place, car number 41. Look at the two Camaros there, nose to tail again now. Robin Liddell has his hands full. Lawson Aschenbach is knocking on the door. There'll be Michael Johnson there on the pit wall, be saying, take it easy, boys.
Steady, guys, steady. We've got 7.5 minutes to go at IMSA Radio on the Twitter. Daytona International Speedway giving us all of the excitement that we need on a slightly overcast Friday afternoon for the BMW Performance 200 in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge for 2015. It's 4.2 seconds between Matt Plum and the Stevenson Camaros, who are racing in formation down to the bus stop, breaking down through the gearbox. And now it looks to me as though Lawson Aschenbach has the car underneath him. It perhaps just Robin Liddell, the edge has gone off that number 6 Stevenson Camaro that looked very racy early on. A 1:59.2 for Robin last time around, a 58.8 for Aschenbach and a 58.8 for the leader. Nobody closing them down, so it looks like 13, 6 and 9 on the podium, but in which order?
Yeah, no, I can't see the positions changing there. But in 4th place there, Trent Hinman doing just a really nice job there in 4th place. He's still got 2 or 3 seconds over Billy Johnson, still charging along there in 5th place. And last time around, Billy Johnson was about 3/4 of a second quicker than Trent Hinman, but 4th and 5th for those two. But then back in ST, Adam Isman has closed right in on Spencer Pumpelly.
And he's driven really well,
yes, he
Adam
has.
Isman. And it's that long distance thing, isn't it? You know, remember watching the athletics and the Olympics and the European Championship back in the days, the 10,000 metres. You have to pace yourself up to the guy who's leading. There's no sense taking too much out of yourself. Well, here it's about not taking too much out of the last set of tyres, Johnny, and I just wonder if that's what's happened to Robin Liddell as well.
Well, Robin Liddell was really pushing on, wasn't he, to get by Mike McGovern and also to apply pressure on Matt Plum a little earlier on in this stint. Lawson Aschenbach has taken a slightly more leisurely approach to the stint and kept something back for the last bit of the race. So I just wonder whether he's got some more of the tyre to rely upon. They clearly need to be careful with this inter-team battle not to make contact with each other, but still hotly contested, isn't it? And despite it's almost like an Audi battle in the fact that they've got a team behind each of those cars, and each of those teams wants to win.
At the moment, then, they are losing time to Matt Plum in the Rum Bum Porsche, who is majestically knocking out the 158 flat last time around. Billy Johnson and Brian Heidcott are the only people in the 58s, and they are down in 5th and 6th, some 12, 13 seconds away from the multicoloured blue and yellow Porsche of Rum Bum Racing that comes round to complete the 55th lap of this timed event with 5 minutes to go in the BMW Performance 200, the first round of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge for 2015. And if this is what the rest of the season's going to be like here on IMSA Radio, bring it on. I want it to be Sebring next weekend, please.
Look at that, the horseshoe. Is that the battle for the lead, I think, in ST? Is it?
Just ahead of the two Camaros. Yes, I think it is.
No,
okay, maybe
don't think so.
It's just another set of battling Porsche Caymans. Yes,
that look very similar.
It was a great move down the inside, whoever it was.
Johnny will be finding that out later. So here come the Stevenson Camaros. And what is the collective noun for Porsche Caymans? That's a good question, isn't it? As we've got 3 of them together, and that is.
You weren't far off because
it's the team cars.
Yeah.
But
Spencer Pumpelly is certainly being reeled in here by Adam Isman. The gap between them very small indeed.
Spencer might just
is that Eric Foss having a moment at the bus stop?
It is. Good spot, Johnny. Went straight on there. I think time is on Spencer Pumpelly's side, if I'm honest.
Maybe so. Once I keep our eye on, there are Porsche Caymans heading out of turn 5 now and up towards the banking.
Gap, by the way, is, well, it was just 1/10 of a second the last time round across the line for the ST lead, so it is worth looking for the 17 on the circuit. 17 and 18, Pumpelly and Isman, with Eric Foss back some 5 seconds from that in the bright orange 56 car. Matt Plum, another 58.3 this time around, 59.7 for Robin Liddell, 59.6 for Lawson Aschenbach, and I just wonder if those guys have been told to hold their position now. Whoa, hang on, Trent Hindman's right there.
He certainly is. All of a sudden, Trent Hindman's right on the tail, going now into turn 1. The two Stevenson Motorsports Camaros, number 6 and 9, in 2nd and 3rd place. But all of a sudden, Trent Hindman right there with them in 4th place in the BMW car number 46.
This is the M3 from Four Line Motorsport. Sorry, Johnny.
Speak about out of nowhere. Adam Isman, I know there was a 1/10 of a second between them. He's taken the lead in ST ahead of Spencer Pumpelly.
2 minutes to go.
Done it. So there you go. Slow car on the apron,
That's
which is the number
team
19
car of Connor Bloom. He was running in the top 4 as well.
So late drama here with positional changes in the ST category. Adam Isman now leads. Well, that's the first lap he's led across the line, but it's only the last one that matters, remember. And Pumpelly is having another look. Tries to go around the outside, and he's done it. But can he hold on to it? He can. Through the hairpin and heading off the first of the horseshoes there, the International Horseshoe. And Adam Isman will be cursing his luck. He'll need to get that one back. Adam Isman did his best lap on lap 61. We're on 64 now, and also a problem for the Team Silence car. The 42 car is dropping out of win. Nonamaker, I wonder if that's a fuel issue. Have they stretched too long?
You know, because the first part of the race, there were a couple of caution periods. They all made the pit stops of the ST cars around about half distance. So we thought they could get to the end. Well, can they?
Well, a snapper of Caymans has been suggested by 2 Seats 4 Wheels, which I like a lot. Or Cayman, says Simon Speakart, being very funny in a foreign language. Well done, Simon. It's at IMSA Radio, and we just a minute to go. Matt Plum gets the white flag, which over here, of course, means 1 lap to go. And he will then complete 68 laps for the BMW Performance 200. And he's got 7.5 seconds between Liddell and Aschenbach. And Hindman's right with him. Hindman's right there, you know. He's only, a couple of tenths behind. And again, he was having a little look into turn 1. This is a cruise for the leader, but anything but for the Stevenson cars.
Yeah. The two CJ Wilson Mazda MX-5s, they're outgunned on the straightaways here. They were having a fabulous battle amongst themselves, and those are the two cars that the Stevenson Camaros are having to work their way through right now.
So the last lap then for Matt Plum, Robin Liddell and Lawson Aschenbach holding station, but Trent Hindman sensing perhaps a podium position for the BMW M3 that he shares with Ashley Freiberg. We spoke with her earlier on. The Four Line Motorsports car may still have... Oh, yellow flags. Yellow flags on the infield. That's a local yellow.
Yeah, it is at turn 5. It's been there for a little while. I think it's because of the cars.
Adam Isman has slowed. Eric Foss is through to 2nd place in ST.
But there are a couple of cars down on the apron. I think those are the ones related to fuel, and the yellow flag being displayed at turn 5.
I think Isman's run out of fuel as well.
Do you? Okay.
It's Pumpelly and Foss now as Isman drops back to 3rd. Can David Murray come through as well? He's only 4 seconds behind. There are a lot of walking wounded out there as the checkered flag is in hand. The last few cars go through to start their final lap now as the leader is on the banking for the final time. Matt and Hugh Plum will be clocking up the first victory of the 2015 season in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. The road race showcase here for the BMW Performance 200 at Daytona, live on IMSA Radio. And what an introduction to Continental Tires Racing for our IMSA Radio worldwide audience. The checkered flag is out and the Rum Bum Racing Porsche goes through. Down to Greg Cramer at the pits.
Massive celebrations as you would expect. Let me grab Hugh here real quick. Hugh, unbelievable day. And not to take anything away from the job that you did and that Matt certainly did in the end, especially when the track got a bit damp. But what a couple of stops by this crew again.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I've got to say, Matt, he is the man. He is the man. That's unbelievable. Rum Bum guys, Lewis Picardi, the whole crew. I'm really excited for these guys.
Yeah, they weren't waiting. It was until that checker actually flew that these guys let loose. They were so nervous about it. I've never seen Nick Longy this intense in his life. He said, boy, I miss driving just because I'm a lot calmer in the car. What a special day for this team.
Brilliant stuff. And in the ST category, Spencer Pumpelly comes through and takes the victory now on lap 66. So a couple of laps off the overall lead. It'll be Eric Foss who comes through in second place by 3 seconds. David Murray has gone through into third as Adam Isman has stuttered on the final couple of laps. We had him in the lead with 2 minutes to go, and he's not even come through in fourth or fifth. Borchella goes through in sixth. It's Lefugel, then Clear, then Borchella. Here's Adam Isman, and he's limping on the infield, on the inside rather, through the tri-oval. Oh, what a disaster. Led the race with 2.5 minutes to go. He may not even finish inside the top 10. In fact, he will just, I think, scrape through in the top 10.
Adam Carbonell got him on the line.
Yeah, he's sharing a car with Liam Dwyer, the American Services veteran. But
Spin
what a
at
great
the end
drive
there as well by Mark Wilkins in the Mantella Autosport Gulf car. They've had an
also at
race.
the end there, Brian Johnson, he was right on the tail.
Billy Johnson, yeah. Billy Johnson, yeah.
Billy Johnson. You could throw a blanket over Robin Liddell, Aschenbach, Heinemann and Johnson at the end of that race. That was 2.5 hours of
tremendous racing.
And after 2.5 hours, for it to be so close promises so much for 2015, I think.
I'm not sure where Shea is at the moment. Shea, Adam, are you down in the pit lane still?
Our ST champions, as a matter of fact, just waiting for Spencer Pumpelly to come back into the pits. But first we have Rodriguez has just gotten off the pit box. Can I grab you for a second for a quick interview? Do you mind? Welcome to the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, first race and a win. What's running through your mind right now?
Oh my God, just pure happiness. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so blessed for today, and I'm just so happy right now.
Spencer pretty much manhandled the car around the last couple of laps. What was he radioing back about how it was going and whether or not you guys needed to pit for rain tires?
He said basically that the car was handling really good, but it was falling off towards the end and it was about to run out of fuel, so we were really tight. But the car is just amazing, and I'm so happy about today.
Overcome with emotion. Congratulations.
Can't imagine what the sine wave of emotion must have been like for those guys. Lost the lead with on 2 minutes to go, Johnny, and then Adam Isman dropped back through the field, eventually finishes in 10th position, 40 seconds away from Pumpelly, and they must have thought their race was run at that point. I mean, you've done so well to lead it, then you lose it, then you get it back.
I know. Well, it was the length of time it took Spencer Pumpelly to get the lead from Eric Foss originally. Yeah. Then he got in front, started to edge away, and out of nowhere Adam Isman closed in, got by, and then ran out of fuel. You couldn't script it.
Before Greg runs to the podium, let's have a quick final interview from him down in the pit lane. Greg?
Oh, I think easily one of these stories here today is the story of Team TGM, Ted Giovannis. An amazing story here. Qualified 11th. We were just talking. You said you turned it over to Dave Murray in 9th, and then it just was clicking from there. What a day for you guys.
Yeah, it was really good. We were very pleased. We've been working on the car and the program. So we've, and particularly working on me. So when I get within a certain range of Dave Murray's time, it really makes it a little bit easier on Dave to bring it home, which he did.
Well, and I got to ask you, for everybody who thinks it's all about youth or exuberance in this sport, how old are you, my friend?
I just turned 69.
That tells you something there, folks. One quick gent, and what a great team.
One thing I will say, we have one of our crew members, one of the guys that were on our crew, Daniel Goodner, and he's not doing too well. He's in a hospital, so this one's actually a good one for Daniel.
Boy, did you make it a good one for him. On the podium, my friend. We'll see you over there in a minute.
Thanks to Greg Kramer, who's heading off to do the PA formalities. Quick wrap-up from the guys here. Johnny, that's your first look live. First look at the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, and not a bad way to start, I wouldn't have thought.
I didn't really know where to look next, frankly, because when you've got two classes equally as close at kind of opposite ends of a speedway, you need kind of independent eyes, if you like, or eyes in the back of your head, certainly, to be able to look, both ways all of the time.